Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to another episode of What Did Adam Say? Season 4, episode 33. I feel like a broken record at this point, but I keep saying one of these days I'm going to count my episodes and stop doing the season, which is why it's gone 33 episodes long instead of my normal like 16 to 20. But it's all good. I'm very fired up, and I'm here with a guest that's really fired up too. Gabriel Aleman. We met through the V Friends community, NFT community. I know I talk about it a lot, guys, but you got to pay attention. This is why we talk about it a lot. So he's a fellow NFT addict like myself, and we're still learning through it all. He's going to VeeCon next week, so we're going to get to meet in person. And we're just super fired up. Oh, and I just found out he's starting a podcast too, so I can't wait to talk to him about that and what his podcast is going to be all about. I'm sure it'll be semi NFT related, as you know it is with a lot of us. So let's do the damn thing. Make sure wherever you are, you like, subscribe, share, and let's do the damn thing.
Wait, what? What am I doing? Created a movement, won't ruin what you are pursuing. But I wake up every morning, never yawning, cause I wake up with the intent to make the day my bitch. And I don't need to hear you talking, so just shut your lips. Cause I'ma make it, yeah, I'ma make it, I'ma make it, I'ma make it. Lord have mercy, I'ma make it. I wake up with the intent to make the day my bitch. And I don't need to hear you talking, so just shut your lips. I'ma make it, yeah, I'ma make it, I'ma make it, I'ma make it. Lord have mercy, I'ma make it. This shit is crazy, right? This shit is crazy.
This shit is fucking crazy. I can't believe it that it's already been almost a year since V Friends dropped. It's been almost a year since I got given a Gary owned original, my self aware hair. It was May 25th last year. I'll probably never forget that day for the rest of my life. And it's this shit is crazy how, many people like Gabe that I've met in this community. Did you go by Gabriel or Gabe?
Gabriel, whatever rolls off the tongue easier.
Yeah, I was like, I just caught myself, and
I'm
I'm like,
not.
oh, he
I'm not
named
picky.
himself Gabriel too. So, but how you been, man? How you doing? It's great to finally get to like see you face to face, sorta, through the internets.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. And what's funny is I actually didn't realize until you just said it that you were the one of the first Go winners of the self-aware hair. I vividly remember when he gave away that. I think it might have been the first one. It was the first handful that he gave away. I'm like, man, that's gonna mean something someday. That guy's so lucky. I'm like, here we are.
Dude, it really is crazy. Yeah, it was the night he gave away 15. I know like Sal DeGuardia, he won one of them. I
Yep.
think so many, pretty much everybody that won one that night, I feel like has met him besides me. Uh, so it's in the cards. It's gonna happen eventually. I don't know if you've seen the content that Isaac from Dream District and I have put out, of like Quest to meet Gary V. But we've been to his office technically 3 times now, and we've never gotten to go in. So it's
Oh,
it's it's been pretty fun. It's been a journey for sure.
that's got to be some fun content, I'm sure.
It definitely is, because like the first time I got, I don't know if you remember, but Gary said to get the tat.
Oh my gosh, that was you too.
Yes, sir. That was me. Um, yeah, and I literally got it. So you got to backtrack from the tattoo a little bit, but I got the tattoo 3 days, maybe 4 days maximum after I won it. But literally the day after, it was like 13 hours later, I was driving across the street to lunch and I got T-boned. My car got totaled. And it was like such a crazy, like, I feel like if that night I didn't win that V friend and just be on cloud a million, it's like past cloud
Right.
nine. Um, I kind of was like, this sucks. I have a concussion, a really bad one, but let's keep pushing on, and
Yeah.
we drove down to Pennsylvania to go meet up with my homie down there, Mr. Ukulele Tattoo. He does really dope tattoos, and because I kind of was like, okay, I want to give back to somebody else like that's in the Gary V community. So I was like, who in the Gary V community on my Facebook is a tattoo artist? And my homie that I've known for fucking almost 10 years now, we met each other through hip hop, he was like, dude, I love Gary V. Like, come down and see me in Pennsylvania. And he put like LOL. And I messaged him. I'm like, bro, I'm for real. I'm down. Like, I'm down. When can you do it? And he's like, Thursday. I'm like, all right, let's do it, dude.
That's
And
awesome.
so we drove down there, and what else went wrong on the way down there? Didn't something go wrong? No, nothing went wrong, but we were looking for lavalier mics, and like nobody had them. And then there was literally a camera shop a block away from the tattoo parlor. Like we were like, fuck, we like made the day an hour longer for no reason. Because it was that hour longer, we were so tired that we were like, dude, we can't drive like all the way back home. So why don't we just stop in New York, and we'll go to Gary's office in the morning, and then we'll show Gary the tattoo. And I was like, that like that's a good idea. So we did that. We stayed in New York City for the night, woke up, went to Gary's office, not the one on Hudson Yards, the other one, and nobody was in the office. I wasn't thinking about this because I probably wasn't thinking about it because I was concussed, to be honest. But but it was Memorial Day weekend, and Gary, being the man that he is, he didn't have his people working on that Friday. He let them out early, so nobody was there. And we were kind of like, we can't have it end there. So we went back again to New York to his Hudson Yards office, because we figured out like, oh, that's the main hub, not the other smaller one down in like wherever it was in New York, but it was a few blocks away. So we go there and we meet this fine gentleman, Sean Marshall, Lions Narthex on Instagram. He's like the ambassador to Hudson Yards, so he like tells people where to go, tells them about the history of Hudson Yards, gives them tours of the Hudson Yards and the mall.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
I was like, yeah, we're here to see Gary V. He's like, oh, that's awesome, man. I love Gary. I love seeing him when he comes by. He's always got such good energy about him. He's like, so you guys got an appointment for him? What time's your appointment? And I was like, appointment? No, I don't have an appointment. I'm just gonna go up and see him. He laughed. He's like, brother, you can't just go see Gary V. That's not how this works. You need an appointment to get in the building. And I was like, oh, okay. So me being the type of person that doesn't take no for an answer, I tried to sneak in.
Oh, jeez.
So I got into the first level. So there's like a first floor and a security guard at the bottom of the escalator. And I was just texting. So I was just like acting like I knew where I was. I belonged, And I get up the escalator and I'm like halfway up. I'm like, dude, I fucking did it. And then I see another step of security. It's like you have to swipe your key card to get into security. But there was somebody like 2 steps in front of me, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to sneak in behind them. Like, I'm just going to sneak past the second level of security and go to the elevator, and hopefully they don't need a key card for the elevator. And then as soon as I was about to go through, like the person in front of me was about to go through, I saw 3 security guards come out of the elevators and turn towards me. I'm like, fuck. So I turned around, like I patted my pockets, like threw my hands up, like, God damn it, I forgot it. And walked out of the building.
Yikes. What a story, though. You got close.
Yeah. Yeah. And
No, I
then
love that.
we did a meetup in New York City, actually, after that at Hudson Yards. Not even just like on some Meet Gary V shit. It was just like, we're gonna go there. We're gonna go to what the hell was it called? I can't remember. There's like this dope structure in the middle of Hudson Yards. I can't believe I can't think about it. But anyways, I met there with a group of V fam, and everything went wrong that day. We were supposed to go up in this beautiful structure thing, and it's like made of all metal. There was a lightning strike nearby. And then it started pouring rain as we're walking across New York. My videographer's got all his equipment and shit, dude. And then we finally we smoked, we calmed down, we went to go meet everybody for dinner, and my videographer was 20 years old. He turned 21 like 4 days later after the fact. And we went to a place and it was 21 plus. Like everybody had already sat down, ordered food, ordered drinks. They were waiting for us. And then we realized it was 21 plus and they wouldn't let them in. Like we bribed them in every way. I was like, offer them free content. You'll do free promo for them for a commercial. And he's like, dude, that's so smart. I'm going to offer it. And he did.
That's a
And
good
it's
idea.
like, they're like, you can do that. when you're 21. It's like, fuck. So everything went wrong, and we went home with our tails tucked between our legs. And the next day, Gary was in Hudson Yards giving away manga comics. I was like, fuck. Like, literally, like, if we just planned the meetup for Sunday instead of Saturday.
Yeah, but how could you have known that, right?
Yeah.
It's such a luck thing. But it's a good point. Like, everybody, it does seem like everybody else who has a go now has met Gary V.
Yeah, and it's funny because I can almost guarantee I've probably been listening to Gary longer than most of them. You know, like I started listening to him in 2016. You know, so it's been a long time, and most of how I built my business is based off of Gary ethics. Like, I don't have anybody in my family who's a businessman or woman. You know, like, nobody's ever done this. This is brand new shit, and
Right.
you know, taking as many risks as I've taken is like unheard of in everybody in my family.
Yeah, it's definitely tough when you don't necessarily have a pathway that's been carved for you, someone close to you that's demonstrated how to do these things. You kind of just got to figure it out.
Yep.
And I mean, if anybody, especially back in the 2016, 2017s when I found him days, nobody would catch your attention more than Gary. It's funny. I remember I was at this time I got really into fitness, and I didn't like listening to music when I worked out, which is super weird. I would listen to like motivational compilations. And so eventually, after doing this for a while, I started to know everybody's voices, right? Like, I'd hear a person's voice. I'm like, oh, it's this person. Oh, it's this person. Like, I know I've heard this content over and over again in some way, shape, or form.
Exactly.
And I just kept hearing this dude, this loudmouth Jersey dude. I'm like, he's cursing up a storm and telling me to like hustle and grind and do all this stuff. And I'm like, who is this guy? And but it was funny because it like I kind of liked it because it was so different from everybody else. And I looked him up, and he had like 100,000 followers on link or not LinkedIn, on Instagram. And I was like, okay, well, he's got to be somebody. And so I just started watching more of his content and really jiving with it because it was just I liked his energy. I know it turns a lot of people off, and I totally get why. But for me personally, I really liked it just because it was different. I liked the no excuses BS and just get in your face and like tell you how it is. Now he's a little bit more like Zen in comparison.
Very
He
much
has
more calm down.
but yeah, he's showing his age and his energy a little bit more, I feel like.
That's a great way to put it, actually, like, because he is getting older and more mature. But I also think, you know, when you have as much self-awareness as Gary, you see somebody like, for instance, Trump. Trump was one of the most polarizing figures in history. Like, he had a great way of separating people and polarizing people. And Gary's energy of like, you fucking grind your dick off until it's gone. And people didn't really like that because it's not realistic for a lot of people. So
Right.
he toned it. He still says the same exact things. That's why I love and respect him so much, is because, like, even though he says it differently, he's still saying the same things.
Yeah.
But he's really figured out a way to talk to the masses as opposed to the grind your dick off people like you probably are if you've been following him since 2016 and like I am.
Right. No, and that's a good point because he's incredibly authentic and consistent in his messaging. He just listens to his audience and the feedback he's gotten over the years is like, okay, this is being interpreted in a way that isn't like what I'm trying to communicate. And he's constantly tweaking. And I think he's gotten to a point where he's realized, okay, like this is as good as it's gonna get. This is as many people as I can reach as Gary V, right? And so we need to, but like I want to reach everybody. I want to reach
Exactly.
8 billion people. So how do I do that? And that's where V Friends comes to life, is he's taking all of the things that he wants to be able to communicate to everybody and turning them into characters that more people can love across all ages. And it's so brilliant in how he's doing that. And it just shows his dedication to wanting to help people and his conviction in all of these different human traits that are so important.
You just like triggered a memory of Gary of mine. Remember when he did like the cartoons of fucking Lil V? That's what it was called. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
I feel like that was like a big catalyst for V Friends and like what it is today.
Well, I don't know if you've heard the story about, like, this was a couple of years ago. I think it was during COVID or sometime around then. He wanted to have like the idea of these little characters that were basically like toy V Friends before V Friends was a thing.
Yep.
And he's always wanted to do something from an intellectual property standpoint like that. It just like he never got around to it because I think it was before COVID, because then he was like, COVID happened and all these, like, he had to navigate VaynerX and go through all of this, the hardships everybody did. And so it got put to the side and then ended up manifesting itself as an NFT because they started coming to life.
Timing. It's like timing and like an idea is what makes everything, right?
Yeah. No, it's wild. So, because starting to see it play out, not just V Friends, but across the board, you start having ideas, and the same idea 4 years ago would have manifested itself into something else that might not have been anywhere near as extravagant, right? And just because of happenstance, it didn't happen, and then it came to mind again at the same time that all of these things were blowing up, and it's so fascinating getting to watch that as I get older. I'm still a baby, but like as I continue to get older and experience these things, it's going to be really cool seeing the patterns.
Yeah, that's a good question, Mike. What up, P. Hayes? What's the process of creating your own FT from beginning to end? Gabe, do you have your own project?
No, I don't have my own project. It is on the roadmap, but like I'm relatively familiar with the idea of like creating a project and like ways to think about it. And I don't know if I would like enough to consult on it, but
by the way, how old are you?
I'm 25.
Oh, dude, you really are young as fuck. Especially if that means you've been listening to Gary since you were fucking 21, basically.
Yeah, it was like right when I got into college.
That's such an advantage, dude. It's like my homie Isaac, my videographer buddy. Like, he's coming with me to VeeCon too. I'm pumped because Lyrical Lemonade, you know who that is? He shoots a lot of like bigger music videos for bigger artists. We'll get to your question in 1 second, Mike, because I have my own project and everything, so I can kind of explain a little bit. But he's gonna Lyrical Lemonade is gonna be at VeeCon, and fucking Isaac, his biggest influence in music is for music videos because he makes the craziest music videos. I'll play one in a second if you want, but he's fucking just so dope, dude. Like, and he's only 21, and he has only been making music videos for about a year now. And he is better than any videographer that I know that has been doing it for as long as he's been alive. I've worked with a few for like my own music videos when I was an artist, and he's just incredible. So I really am like manifesting Isaac meeting Lyrical Lemonade and getting to talk to him and showing him his videos, because if he can like work together with him or something, collab, they'd make some crazy shit. But yeah, the process of creating your own NFT from beginning to end, the best part is if you make a good NFT project, there's no end. So in the beginning, they manifest in a lot of ways. Some people manifest, art, and they have no utilities. Some people don't really focus on the art and they have great utilities. Some people have both. And my situation was, I guess, kind of unique because, as you know, Mike, I have a cannabis business. That's hilarious. We'll get to that too, Matt. Spigucci, sorry. I have a cannabis business and I can't crowdfund. I can't use GoFundMe or whatever the other one is because I'm a cannabis-based business. It's the nature of the beast. And it sucks. It's not fair. So I was talking to the VFam community and I was just like, wait, so NFTs are kind of like crowdfunding, right? I was like, I don't really have art, but like, couldn't I just create something basic and just be honest with people that I'm just crowdfunding to fund my environmental project? And they're like, yeah, of course. Like, people would respect that. And I was like, okay. So I had Droshik. I don't know if you know who he is in the community. he designed my art, and it's so far. We just like talked for a couple hours one night, and he designed it for me. Because I was telling him, I was like, oh, I have this NFT idea, but I don't know what to do for the art, and I feel like I'm scamming people if I don't give them at least decent art with like good utilities. So yeah, they're kind of like the skins in a video game, Mike, but you actually own it. Like if the video game wasn't out anymore or they banned you from the video game, you don't get to keep those skins. So, it's similar to that, but not really. So yeah, my NFT project went from a crowdfunding project to life work. Like I'm making plans for the next 5 to 10 years at this point for this project. Like it's crazy how everything I've done with like cannabis and CBD and already growing hemp and already kind of looking into everything. And then like my downfalls leading me to have downtime and looking into, studies and real scientific research. It's it's just turned into this lifelong project that I'm now working on V2 of the project. I'm trying to buy land in the next 5 to 10 years for the project. I'm trying to do things that nobody's doing, and all of that is based off of just needing money to get started. So
And here's what I love about the NFT space in the context that you're using it is, like you said, yeah, there's a lot of avenues to raise capital, whether it's you go like the old school way to VCs and angel investors and things like that, or you go the crowdfunding route. And but there's still a lot of limitations. You've got to pay a lot of fees because of it. And like there's a lot of tape, a lot of red
yep,
tape. And so now you're opening up a whole new mechanism to be for anybody to be able to not only like crowdfund, but and not just reward them with that product or service that they're investing in on the front end, but you can provide continuous value forever,
yep,
forever. Whether it's right now, whether it's 5 years from now, it's 20 years from now, like it doesn't matter. And you have record of all of these people that believed in you from the get-go, from the very beginning, and the people that continued to believe in you by holding the project or just never selling it. And you can surprise them at any point with more utility, access, I mean, even monetary benefits in the future as we kind of figure out the laws around it, right? So it's so fascinating, all of the use cases for it. And that's where I think people, when they're bringing their internet brain to Web3, they're missing what's actually happening.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, if you're thinking about it as just, something that you buy as opposed to a collectible with utilities, like my utilities for my project, you get a discount on my CBD products for life, which, oh, by the way, puts a lot of pressure on me to make sure my CBD business never goes under. Uh,
Right.
and then, like my rare token holders, those sold out in like a week or two. Um, they get full access to my grow journal. So like I'm working to find my old grow journals and get all that together too. So I would have grow journals from basically 2017 when I started growing, to give people like a blueprint of how to grow and how not to grow indoors and outdoors and all these different things just within my notes. And at this point, I even like fucking journal in my journal, like how I'm feeling about it, like,
Yeah.
why am I doing this thing, and explaining things in a more in-depth way. So yeah, it is kind of like a membership copyright. It's true ownership. It's ownership that you could track all the way back to the blockchain, and the blockchain is the most secure thing in the world. So it's real true ownership. And like people always want to say, can't I just screenshot it and then I own it? It's like, well, can I go to the museum and take a picture of the Mona Lisa and own it? No, it's the same fucking thing. Like, but yeah, that's funny. Spigucci said, why is the whole internet saying crypto is dead? Well, Spigucci, the internet is wrong, and the internet is usually wrong. So
You want to know how I know they're wrong is my dad texted me today about pull all your money out of Coinbase, like liquidate everything. Put all your money in XRP because Bitcoin and Ethereum are gonna disappear. And like anytime my dad says something's gonna happen or not happen, it's the opposite. So I always just do the opposite of what he says now. Iraqi dinar was supposed to reevaluate their currency for the last like 20 years. Like every year of my life, it was always, this is the summer. I'm going to buy you that Tesla when they first came out. And I was like 14, and he had bought like $10,000 USD worth of it, and it was going to be worth like $1 billion or something in comparison. So I don't, anything he tells me to do, I just do the opposite of it. And maybe it'll bite me in the butt one day, but for all the wins I get out of doing the opposite, I mean, it pans out. So no, crypto is not dead. Anyone who's saying that has not been in here for long enough to understand the cycles. And like this time last year, Ethereum did like the exact same thing. Yep. It went from 4,500 down to like 17 or 1,800. And so it's like this is another cycle. No, we don't know when the bottom is. Yes, it might end up being a longer bear market, but like if you're the key with crypto and NFTs and anything in the blockchain is just to stay, like stick around. Don't over leverage yourself, manage your risk, and stick around. And you'll make a lot of mistakes in the beginning. I've made an absurd amount, and we could probably get into some funny stories around some of the ones I've made, and lost a lot of money in the process. But I've also made a lot of money in the process and made good investments because I stuck around. So that's kind of what you have to do, is just stick around and manage your risk.
You have to be patient. Yeah, it's right now when it's down like this and everybody's saying it's gone forever, it's destroyed. They say this basically twice a year. And this is the time when you hear that, that's the time where you should be looking to buy. I wouldn't say yet because Bitcoin, I mean, all of crypto is on a massive dive. But if you look at stocks, if you look at IRAs, if you look at 401ks, they're all taking a very similar trend on the charts. I saw somebody post the charts to all of them today. I did a little bit of Forex training, and I know how to read charts basic, and they look almost identical. It's a little up and then a big dip, little up, big dip. It's the same exact pattern they're all following. So it's not time to panic. It's time to buy. And I'm waiting for it to go a little bit lower, and I'm going to try to buy some Ethereum because it'll be good to have.
I agree. I think it's not a bad time to buy if you're holding it for a long time, right? Like if you're just trying to buy and hold, not buy and like cash out for a couple extra bucks, like then yeah, buy. But I don't know. I mean, to your point, I think it's impossible to time the bottom in the same way it's impossible to time the top. Nobody actually knows what's going to happen. The market is the market, and you just have to pay attention as much as you can, and again, manage risk. So I think one thing I'll say really quick is that I love about this time. I was talking about this on Twitter today. Was like it's been shoved down our throats for the last year of play with money you can afford to lose. Play with money you can afford to lose. Don't over leverage yourself. And we all hear that. And as much as we like want to say yes, that's what we're doing, we're also really, really eager, and we see a lot of opportunities. And so sometimes that's not always the case, right? Like I've definitely felt guilty of it at times, but I'm in a place right now when this is all happening where I'm like, okay, if all this goes to shit, I can still pay my rent. I still have some money in the bank and USD, and like everything in my life's taken care of. I'm not like, yeah, it would suck to lose all of these assets and investments per se, right? But it wouldn't ruin my life by any means. So and also I wasn't planning on selling them anytime soon. So it just having that mindset has definitely made me a lot more calm than a lot of the fudders on social media.
Yeah, and I mean, guys, I just bought Ethereum because I wanted to mint a VeeFriend too, and I overbought by accident because I was just like panicking. Oh, I didn't have enough ETH in my account, and like luckily somebody from the VeeFriends community sent me some in the meantime while everything cleared. But I have like, I don't know, $700 worth of ETH that I bought at 2,800. Pretty sure ETH is like below 2,000 right now, right? Like, yeah. So I'm not panicking. I'm not panicking at all, even though my, $700, $800 is probably worth 500 now if I cashed it out, but I'm not cashing it out, I guess.
Yeah.
I was actually planning on it because I didn't plan on putting it in there, but I was like, whatever, I
Yeah.
guess we're hodling now.
I know this actually creates hodls, right? Like I feel like I can't sell, like why would I want to sell at a loss? Some of these VFriend ones selling for 4, 5, 6 ETH is just mind blowing to me, because, and like, who knows if this will age well, right? Maybe it all goes to shit and just goes to zero and stays that way anyways, and then that would be really funny. But I don't think that's going to happen. It's just crazy seeing things go for these prices when not too long ago they were going for 18, 19, no questions asked.
Yeah, I mean, look at the VeeCon tickets. Like when I
Oh,
first got my VeeCon ticket, I was getting like 1.4 off ETH offers on it. Now what are they going for? 0.2?
I think they were getting closer to 0.1. What's even funnier about that, I was one of the ones that burned the book game tokens for them,
Mm-hmm.
and I bought
Ah,
those tokens like the same day that I burned them. So I spent 0.5. So I spent 2.5 ETH to buy the Go token, which was then having offers for 3.5 ETH, which is awesome. I'm like, sweet, it was a good play. And then obviously we don't have with the reveal, and everything tanked after that. I mean, like my buddy's going, so it was fine. And again, I wasn't necessarily doing it to flip it. Like I saw it being worth that in my eyes anyways.
mm-hmm.
And it's a pretty dope art. But yeah, definitely on paper, it's a it might, depending on how my taxes go this year, I might just like cash it out just for the loss so I can put it against my gains, and then I'll
Yeah,
just rebuy it going into the next year. Huh. Yeah, I just did
that's
my
smart.
taxes on this. Thanks.
Yeah, it's really a fucked up world, man. Because I kind of wish I would. Hindsight is 2020. If I was psychic, I would have sold it for the 1.4 ETH offers I was getting, whatever it was,
Yeah,
because I didn't pay for it. I got
it was free.
I got the Go given to me, and then I got it because of that. So if I would have sold it, I could have bought like 8 tickets and flipped them.
Yeah, I mean, dude, if I think about all the things that I could have done if I would have timed it right, like I would have sold my VFriend at 18 ETH, and then I would have just waited until after VFriends 2 launched, bought them on discount, and then went and bought the actual evolving pose that came with it anyways for even cheaper,
Yep.
and still had an absurd amount of ETH. I probably could have ended up with a spec from a floor token, especially if I would have cashed that out with the Ethereum price then, bought Ethereum right now, and bought the V2, V1 at the price of Ethereum now. Like that would have been absurd. I could have gotten a gift code.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
hindsight, right? Like, what are you gonna do?
You really can't fucking
Yeah,
do anything. I hope you filed your
it's too
taxes already,
stressful.
by the way.
Yes, yes. I filed my taxes for this year. I'm thinking in the future.
Yeah. I already got my appointment for 2022 taxes in end of September to like start
Mm.
giving all my shit to them, and then it's only like a few months that I gotta update them. So,
Ooh, that's
um,
smart.
yeah, man, I'm getting ahead of it this year because I was like behind to like 2018, and I
Mhm.
got caught up this year, and I'm fucking. It's like one of my proudest accomplishments because it was so far behind and just lingering and stressing me out. And now it's like, bro, I have a real shot to buy a house now because it's like I got a dope job. I'm fixing my credit. I did all my tax shit now, so it's like
Yeah,
once I get my debt taken care of, I'm straight, man.
that's
Um,
awesome.
so yeah, Mike said if Elon Musk offered you a free seat to the first trip to Mars, would you take it? And if you did, what would be your profession starting up the colony?
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, definitely would take it. I'd take the risk to be the first trip to Mars. I think we're gonna end up there anyways. But
I kind of
what
think we're
would
from
be?
there.
I think he's from there, and he's just trying to do us a favor. It's like, guys, it's way better. Trust me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what my first. I mean, it would have to be something in business. Like that's just where the way that my mind goes. In business or in like people. Anything around people I can do.
I would want to like cultivate the soil, but I don't know. There's no atmosphere, right? Like, how the fuck do you? How do you cultivate an atmosphere? I don't know, man. Like, I would love to grow some hemp on Mars.
Right. Spot Gucci, that's a really dull vibe. Not a big fan. But to stay in line with that, I mean, we're kind of signed up for death here too. So
Ooh,
yeah.
man,
We got
man.
nothing to lose on this planet.
I
We'll
didn't
get deep.
even I didn't even think about that. We're signed up for death on this planet just like we are in Mars. That is fucking mind blowing, dude.
Mm,
Actually,
that
um,
was deep.
I don't think I would go. I don't know. Maybe if they were like, listen, the world is probably gonna go to shit. Just take you and your family, and you'll get to live at least another like 50, 60 years, and you could probably repopulate on Mars. And who knows? Maybe all of Mars will be your seed.
Yeah, I don't know if I would. I don't know if the world would be better or worse for that one.
Who knows, man? Who knows? Like, there's some shit genetically in my kids that I'm just like, yo, I don't think you learned that from me. I think that's just in you.
And then there's some that I'm like, I'm so sorry.
It really is, dude.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes my daughter just like reacts like angrily. Sometimes, like, you don't have a reason to be angry, little girl. Like, I was angry because my childhood sucked. Like, your childhood's great. Why is that ingrained in you?
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, you got to start it all. That's the fun part, Spagucci. It's like I really okay. My theory on human life is that Martians, people that lived on Mars, came to Earth and saw like a Neanderthal, and what happens when people have a superiority complex and think they're better than a certain race of people? Usually they enslave them, unfortunately. And so I think they enslave the Neanderthals. And then what happens when when you have slaves? Look at Thomas Jefferson. That motherfucker knocked off hell out of his slaves. Because,
Oh,
so I think they mated with the Neanderthals, and the Martian Neanderthal is the human.
huh.
That's why we're so
Interesting.
drawn to Mars. Like, our
We don't talk
human
about any other planets. I bet there's a big portion of people that can't even name the other planets.
facts. People in the comments, name all of the planets right now.
Yeah, for the record, I'm probably one of those people. So I'm not even gonna try.
Hold on, how many can I think of? I'm gonna think in my head because I want to see how many you guys can get. How many is there? 9?
I couldn't tell you. I can do 5 for sure. 6. I can do 6 if we count Earth.
Neptune was the one I was forgetting. Uranus.
I was forgetting Neptune. I also count Pluto, but I feel like every year it's like it's a planet, it's not a planet, it's a planet, it's a star, it's
Yeah.
another sun. I don't know. It was funny. Yesterday, my girlfriend made it. I forget what we were talking about. She made some comment about the sun revolves around the Earth, right? And I just looked at her. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what happens.
Forgot
And
Mercury.
oh, the question was like, how long does it? We were watching some TikTok, and the guy was asking people, how long does it take for the Earth to revolve around the sun? And she was like, that's a trick question. The sun revolves around the Earth. And I was like, that's the wrong part of why it's a trick question.
Maybe she thought that the Earth was flat. You never know.
She's not a flat earther. My dad is a flat earther.
Oh.
Shout out to the flat earthers out there.
See, here's the thing.
Oh no, Adam.
No. I'm not. But here's the thing. I also don't think it's a perfect circle. I really
Nothing's a
think
perfect circle.
yeah, like, so I think, like, if you think about Earth like a rock, because that's basically what it is. It's a giant fucking floating rock through space circling the sun, like flying through space at a bajillion miles per hour. Like, that's what Earth is. So I think some parts are flat, very flat, and then other parts are really rocky, and other parts are really round. And that's what I think the Earth is. Like, I don't know why they depict it as a perfect circle. Maybe it makes us feel better knowing that we're not on a giant flying rock.
But in a sense, we kind of are. It's just hard to conceptualize.
Yeah, dude.
I think that would be I think that's why I want to explore other planets, because like what it would do to our understanding of the world, of like the universe at this point, the galaxy, right? It could be like my dick with two C's. I think it'd be really neat to kind of expand our thinking on. So we were talking about like the outside of the Earth, how it's not round, it's like rocky. And my thought was like, oh yeah, like if you had a ball that was shaped like that and rolled it on the ground, it would not go straight, right? But I'm like, the Earth doesn't have anything to land on. It's floating in space, and that's just wild. I'm like, there's no end, no bottom, nothing to set it on. And I don't know. I think it's really fascinating. I try not to think about it too much because like I'll hurt myself.
The other part, if I smoke a little bit too much, I'm like, just what if we are in a bubble on a very gigantic planet, and there really is only one planet they discovered, but it's this big gigantic planet that all the really rich people can go to, but we can't.
See, I have those thoughts sober, so I don't even I can't cross over to that side.
That's hilarious. It's like, my mind, I'm like, obviously the climate is changing. Like, I live in New England and it's been windy as fuck for no reason for the past few years, just out of nowhere. And, obviously climate is changing. The debate whether it's all man-made or if it's like partially, natural. Why do all the people that, push the global warming stuff have houses, beachfront property? Like Obama,
Mm,
Bill Gates, they all have beachfront property, and they're all like, the biggest people that are like, climate change, and I'm not, obviously climate change is real. We can all see it fucking
yeah,
happening, but it's just funny how they're like that. It's eroding, and the beaches aren't going to be there anymore. Then why are you getting multi-million-dollar beachfront properties?
yeah. They're humans too.
Maybe the Matrix theory. They say we're
All
trapped
right.
in a 3D world,
I feel like we need to change the topic. This is getting
right?
too deep now. We're going down a spiral.
We're going down some rabbit holes, dude. That happened last show too. We ended up having like a 2-hour conversation about fucking the government.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I
It's
just
so
remember those
easy.
conversations.
He said because if a nuke hits the water, all of it's gone. I mean, like, all right, well, VeeCon's coming up next week.
Yeah, let's hard left to VeeCon.
It's
What are you most
it's
excited about for VeeCon?
I think I'm the most excited about just meeting all the people that I've talked to for a year now, and it's gonna be crazy, like seeing a lot of people in person. I've met a select
Handful.
handful. That's what I was like. What was my mouth saying there? I'm most excited about that because there's just so many cool people that I haven't gotten to meet, and it seems like everybody's taking a little bit more risk than me. I know a few people that got into Bored Ape. I know some people that got into like WoW, a few other projects that flipped heavy, and they're making good money and they're making crazy opportunities from this now, and they're flying all over the place, and I'm like, that's fucking fire. I wish I could do that, but I've been so like silent in the community lately.
Mhm.
It's actually been like killing me, like, to be real. Like I've been I got promoted at my job, and we were short staffed because the manager that was there was gone, and we promoted somebody like 2 weeks into me getting promoted, and somebody just left, like they got terminated. So I'm like understaffed, working 5-6 days a week, still trying to do my farming thing. I have a family, all this shit. I'm like, NFTs have kind of fallen to the wayside besides my
Yeah.
project, and it sucks. I miss it, like the energy about it and talking to people, and God, I gotta make more time for that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that. When I first got into NFTs, I mean, it I've always been a big tech guy. I worked at my first job was second job was at Best Buy, and I was there from 16 until I almost before I graduated college. Loved that job and everything about it. And so I've always just been natively into technology in general. And going into when I was in college, I remember sitting in my dorm room and I was just so butthurt because I'm like, like I knew I had an entrepreneurial mind. I knew I wanted to get into starting my own business of some sort. And it was like I think I was reading one of Tony Robbins' books, and I started thinking about it was talking about like the start of the internet. And I think it mentioned Mark Cuban, and like that's where he made all his money really was at the beginning of the internet. I'm like, man, I was born 20 years too late. I'm like, if I would have had my opportunity there, like I could have taken advantage of it. And like there was like maybe half of as big of an impact, but still a big impact that happened with Web 2 with social media. And it just wasn't really my vibe at the time. And I'm like, man, I just really feel like I missed out. That stinks. And last year when all of this started going down, and I watched every single podcast Gary was on talking about this tech, because he didn't like, I didn't understand what it was. He just kept saying technology and utility and like literally impacting every industry in the entire world. I'm like, I have not seen him this hype since 2000, like since I watched it. I rewatched a lot of videos content from like 2008, 9, and 10, like earlier social media days. And like, there's something happening here. And it eventually, like, I remembered that conversation with myself and it clicked. I'm like, oh my God, this is that moment. This is the one that I was sitting here like all butthurt that I missed. It's happening again. And I'm getting my shot at a really good age, because even if I fuck it up this time, I'll still hopefully, pray to God, have another shot in 15, 20 years when it happens again in Web 6 or whatever it's called, right? So but it's really cool to have that, like, to be in that moment. I'm like, I need to learn everything about this. And I was spending more time in NFT world than I was my day job. And I work from home, so it makes it very easy to not do work and be distracted. And my work suffered for it, which was a little bit of a bummer. I was kind of positioned to where like I basically had to jump ship or I wouldn't be there much longer. And so I transitioned into I like promoted myself. I actually got a better role anyways in the process. But I when I did that, because I was spending so much time in NFTs, like I wanted to learn everything about it. I was always all over social media, and I got to know all these great people, and I was just intoxicated by the community. Like they're just such great people. And like I live in Ohio, like none of that's here. All these people suck. Shout out to my Ohio people. But I don't know. It's been interesting because in this new job, I've been taking a lot more seriously, a lot more opportunity to make money, and I'm doing well in it. I'm like, okay, I don't want to screw this opportunity up like I did the last one. So I've had to take a step back, and like I pretty much got out of most of the projects that I was in and went all in on VeeFriends, because I'm like, I'm betting on the jockey.
Yep.
And still no regrets doing that, but it's been a little bit of a bummer not, because you're just riding, we'll call it one floor price, one project, right? So there's not like opportunities where one's down but one's up, so you can still get a little bit of fix off of the high of that one. You're on one ride, and it's a lot slower, especially this project, which is what it's meant for. Like, that's been transparent, and I'm okay with that. But to your point, like I definitely miss getting to dive into some other ones and spend more time in the community and things like that. And I think that at VeeCon, it's going to kickstart a lot of that again for me. I just have to make sure that I'm managing it in a healthy way.
Yeah, dude, I'm kind of feeling the same way, and I'm almost like fully staffed and shit again. I'm like, this is about to get, because it's just addicting, dude. Like, and it felt like so much good stuff was happening. The more I was like in those groups, and then I bought a fucking Grill Gang for like 0.06 and flipped it for 222 the next day, 2.22 ETH. Like, it was just like fucking. I was like, damn, dude, that's like I made $6,000 in a day. That's crazy. And so I'm like, I'm like hunting for that, and then I'm like just an idiot, and I fell for like a Jake Paul rug pull. I bought stick dicks because I thought it was funny, and I was like, like I'll be able to flip this for at least what I bought it. Fucking tanked, rug pulled, and there was like a couple other projects that I bought into that were like longer term, like NF Daddies. So like I'm just gonna keep that for life. So that's like a VeeFriends project to me.
Mm.
And a few other ones like the Blue Studios. I think that's another one that's
Yep.
gonna have a ton of
Bellas.
potential. Yep.
I have
I,
one.
I think Green Park Sports. I bought into them too. Um, Dinos.
Yeah.
Fucking
Jeez, Dapper Dinos right now. Yeah. I got them. I think I got one from the or no, did I mint one? I definitely minted one. I don't remember how that whole thing went out, but they were part of the PFP program initially.
yep. I don't care how $1
But
million ends up in my account at this point. I just want the M. I'll fuck a dude. Test me. All right.
man, we're wilding out here.
I could probably. There's probably somebody that like if you just put up a status or something like, "Hey, if you're a dude and you want to
Yeah.
fuck me, I'll do it for $1 million," and somebody will probably do it.
You know what's wild to me is like this idea of $1 million. Because like it's don't get me wrong, that would change a lot of people's lives. It'd be very impactful to a lot of people. That's a good chunk of money. But like it's not as much money as I think we make it out to be. Like, I don't know about you. I'm sure you've thought about it. Like, I could spend $1 million in like a day
Yeah.
if I like really wanted to. Incredibly easy. Not to mention, you kind of have to make $2 million to be able to have $1 million because Uncle Sam's going to take half of it, especially at that level. Unless you have a ton of real estate, and then you're not liquid anyway. So I don't know. It's just like $1 million is just that's everyone's like goal, but it doesn't. It's like, okay, then you're gonna want 2 million, and then you're gonna want 10 million, and then you're gonna like it's I don't know. I think it's a sweet spot of okay, I don't have to stress as much, but it's not a point of like, okay, I can retire. Like I would never even think about retiring at any age with only $1 million. That's not
No,
comfortable.
definitely not. Definitely not. I mean, maybe if it was like a million that was like you could put it away and take a little bit out, like as a retirement thing, and you had to live on $50,000 for 20 years. But you better hope you don't live fucking past 20
Dude,
years.
dude, with inflation, that doesn't mean anything. Like, you know
This
what
is true.
inflation's gonna look like in 20 years? Like $50,000 right now feels like it's nothing. Like it's so hard to get by on, especially with a family.
Yeah,
And people used to buy homes for $50,000. Now you can't buy them for under $200,000,
literally.
especially in this market. And you gotta like waive everything, pay cash, add another 50,000 just for the hell of it, and it's like you got no shot. So I don't know. The concept of money is interesting to me.
That's why I
Um,
could spend $1 million in a day though, because if I got 500,000 out of the million after taxes, I would just go buy property with it, cash.
yeah, I guess that's fair. I think a lot of people just go buy a bunch of stupid shit though, and then they'd end up in the same. That's why a lot of people who win lotteries like end up poor again because they buy the Ferrari, they buy the Rolex, they buy all of these things that are really cool and like awesome to have. I mean, I like nice things too, but you know, if it's more than 10% of my net worth, and like I probably shouldn't be buying it.
True. That's big facts.
Hmm.
Damn, and most people don't even have a net worth, so you guys should probably not be buying anything.
Yeah. I guess when you don't think about it in net worth, it's probably you shouldn't be looking at Rolexes and
Well, I never
shit.
even like thought about my net worth until I had a VeeFriend.
I guess I had the same because at one point it was at a scale where it was now a net worth.
But I mean, we know where it is long
But
term too. Like I don't see it
yeah.
as, whatever. I'm getting 4.5 ETH offers, which is crazy.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, dude. I was throwing up when I was getting 7 ETH offers. I was like, you're joking, right?
yeah. Yeah, it's always a good giggle though. Like even when I was
Yeah.
getting like I'd get like 19 ETH offers and be like, that's cute. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, you don't
Yeah.
know. Now
There's
now
just
you really can't take the low offers.
no, I don't even consider it for a second, not even a
Yeah.
split second. It's even when it was I could have had $100,000. And
Mhm.
I was like, nope, nope, not yet, not even close to yet. If it got to 100,000, that means it can get to 1 million.
You know what was interesting for me was because like I had never dealt with any large amount of money at that time. Definitely not in profit, at least. I've dealt with large amounts of debt because of college, but not
Hmm.
a profit. So I bought this asset. I actually bought ETH when it was like $2,300, like, as it was rising the few weeks before V Friends launched, and we were told, "Oh, have one ETH." I was like, "Okay, I'll buy one." So I bought one, and then it took off to like 4,800 by the time the Dutch auction hit the floor, and then I was going to buy. And I remember sitting there thinking, "Do I just keep it in ETH? Like ETH is going to the moon." Like, maybe I just keep it in there and don't buy the V. Like, I don't even know what these NFTs are. And I was like, no, you know what? I've gotten so much value from Gary Vee the last few years. The least I can do is support him in this. And if nothing else, I get 3 years to go to this conference.
Yep.
Like, that will be worth it alone. And it has been, for sure. When you think about it like that, like even with the floor of VeeCon tickets right now, like that, if I sold all of them at that floor, it would pay back what I spent on the VeeFriend.
Right.
Maybe. But that aside, I'm like, I started seeing it like do a little well, and then do a little bit better, and then I was getting like, I remember when it crossed $10,000 offers, like in USD, and I was like, oh my gosh. I call my buddy. I'm like, dude, do I sell? Like, I just made 5x my money. That's nuts. And then it hit like 15. I'm like, I don't even know what to do with myself right now. It was so like, it took everything in me not to sell. And my buddy was like, dude, like, if you believe in this, don't, like, hold on to it. Like, just ride it out, do it for the long term, do it at least for a year, so you can really understand how it ebbs and flows, and you can go to your conference at least 1 year, which is why you bought it in the first place, and then you'll be good. And I'm so glad I listened to him. But like, that was it was hardest for me not to sell on the front end, because it was the first time I'd ever dealt with something like this. Like, I didn't get involved in like GameStop or AMC or any of that when it was going crazy. Or Safe Moon, remember that one was nuts. But yeah, it was the first time that I ever got involved in something like this, and I think that was the hardest time not to sell it. I'm like, now I just don't want to. The only reason I would sell it was to trade for another character that I liked better. I think that'd be the only reason that I would sell it. If I was you, I would never sell it just because it's a go. Like, unless it's a go for a go. But you got the tattoo, so you really can't now.
Yeah,
you can't even. It's just a JPEG to you, because you're never even gonna be able to realize the net worth from it, because you can't sell it. That JPEG is gonna be buried. Your ledger is gonna be buried with you.
Yeah, that's the hope, right? I do feel like, you know, if we're talking about Looney Tunes, this is like Bugs Bunny. You know, that's
the way I viewed them all too.
No, but like especially the self-aware hair.
Yeah,
he talks about self-awareness so much, and there's no other self-awareness character, right? It's just the self-aware hair, right? Yeah.
Nope.
Which is huge. So that means and somebody told me that it was inspired by Nipsey Hussle. I don't know how true that is, but I do know they were very close. And
he was one. Gary talks about him as like one of the most self-aware dudes that he knows, specifically using the verbiage self-aware. So I wouldn't be wildly surprised if that was the case. Did you get an Anwar Carrots hoodie?
Yes,
good.
Sir.
I almost wore it. I stuck with the Black Cat one this time, but I almost wore the self-aware hair one.
Yeah, I'll definitely be wearing that out at VeeCon. It's gonna be like painstakingly obvious who's there for V Friends, like when you're walking around Minnesota or going.
Oh my gosh, yeah, especially at night when it cools down a little bit. We're all gonna be rocking our V Friends hoodies. We're gonna look like clones.
There is a very few amount of the blue ones though.
It's my favorite hoodie still.
Dude,
I think it looks the best. It fits the best. It's the most comfortable, hands down.
Anwar makes great shit, dude. I follow him on everywhere.
Yeah, no regrets on that one.
Bruh, since he collabed with Gary, he's collabed with like Crocs, Vans, Timberlands, like all these fucking massive companies, dude.
He did the hundreds too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Crazy,
dude. I know, dude. It's the Gary Vee effect. It's real, man.
You know what's fucked up? Where are you from?
Where am I from?
You live in Ohio, you said, right? You're born and raised there? Okay.
No, so I was born in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, okay.
But I moved, like, I spent 7 years there, 7 years in Michigan, 8 years in Ohio, moved around a little bit since then, and now I'm back in Ohio. So
So
I was
Gary,
laughing like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "Well."
Gary doesn't hate where you're from. You know, Gary V
Mhm.
hates New England and Massachusetts especially with a passion. Like he really, really hates everything about us. And I mean, he says he has some good friends here. He went to school here and stuff, but you know, he really doesn't like the sports teams. He thinks we're all like coddled and fucking spoiled and all this shit. There's really a part of me because there's no way at this point Gary isn't watching my shit. Like, there's absolutely no way. After like he directly told me to get a tattoo and I did it 2 days later. Like, you don't just like let that shit slide. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially not him. And it's not our first interaction. Like, I think he commented on a couple more of my posts like back a few years ago, you know, and my handle hasn't changed. It's been What Did Adam Say the whole time. It's like the greatest marketing thing I've really ever thought of. It's so simple to remember. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I tell people I'm out at conventions and I've been stupid about like not giving cards and shit because I don't really like, honestly, I don't really like the paper waste of cards.
Right.
Um, so I just say, what did Adam say? And so many people follow me off that. Like, it's just so easy to remember.
Yeah, no, that was a really great thing. I think I'm convinced Gary's following like all of us that are like being active, whether it's active in the community, active posting, active on social, hustling, starting businesses. He pays it like literally he loves to just watch people and understand human behavior. Why he's so good at predicting it. And
Hmm.
so I am 100% convinced he knows who all of us are, at least from like our social media stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like, I'm really hoping to meet him at VeeCon. We'll see. You know, like, I'll probably get a selfie with him at least. You know, like they have the selfie station, but I'm also not trying to wait in a line all day and not see everything. You know, like if the opportunity
Right.
presents itself, I'm just, I don't know, I'm just rolling with the punches. You know, we the last time we went to Hudson Yards and couldn't get in, we sent them fucking 100 gifts. Like, it was a.
Mhm.
Do I have one up here? I have it somewhere. I don't know where it dropped to, but I have a flicker lighter. It's like a fidget spinner that case that goes on a lighter, and you can like use a fidget
Oh,
spinner
that's
on your
sweet.
lighter. So I sent 100 of those to the Vayner office. Like, here, guys. Like, you know, I'm not like made of money, but we came here to give you guys gifts. We couldn't get in. Here's some gifts anyways, and I shipped it like to them. Here's hoping they actually open it and just throw it away, thinking it's like a bomb or something. A bunch of lighters and a
I have to imagine they have some kind of process for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hope the post office does too. You know, I should
Yeah,
have
there's
tracked it
that.
to make sure it actually got there. Didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I think he's gonna go out of his way to meet as many people as possible. I know he's got a selfie booth. He's got a couple pop-up selfie booths, like dedicated times for signatures on dedicated items. By the flea market, I think are specific for like books and cards and stuff like that. And then at the welcome party, it's for bottles of empathy. So yeah, it'll be fun. I'm bringing bottles of the empathy wine. I bought like a case and a half of them, I think, when they came out. And so I'm gonna bring like 3 or 4 bottles out. Like the demand, like right on the spot, should be high enough. If I'm gonna flip a couple of them, I'll just do it there.
Damn, what did they sell for? I forget.
What did they sell for?
Yeah, like originally.
So yeah, so he presented it as the equivalent of a $180 bottle of wine. It was, and then he did it in tiers based off of how much you ordered. So if you ordered a case, it was like $80 or $75 a bottle. If you ordered half a case, then it was like $5 more. If you ordered, 3, or I think you could only order sets of 3. Maybe you could order one. I don't know, but it was like a smaller tier. I think the most you would pay for one was like $90 a bottle at the time, but it was a limited quantity. In general, I think they had maybe 1,000 or 1,200 cases, and they all went within a few hours.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember
And
that.
you gotta think too. Like, people are drinking them, so supply is dwindling. People are gifting them, giving them away. Again, those are going to be one-off bottles that people save and celebrate and drink with. So those will go away. and then at the end there'll be a very small handful of bottles, which at that point become collectible. So it was something that I was like, okay, well, let me buy enough of them so I can taste one right off the bat, slowly make my way through some over the course of a few. I literally bought a wine fridge because I was like, I need to be able to store these so they still taste good in 10 years. And yeah, it was nuts. I spent like $400 on it. It was stupid, but I drink like that's my drink of choice is wine, so it worked out well. It was fine. I should have done it anyways.
If it was
But
tequila, I would have been all over it.
yeah, tequila is my liquor of choice. So
Is it?
Yeah, Don Julio specifically.
Oh man, have you tried Terramana?
Of course. Terramana is the, like, if I don't want to spend like Patron Don Julio money, I'll get Terramana. The Rock crushed it.
Yeah, dude, and it like I've never gotten a hangover from it. Like I've had nights where me and like 6 other people smashed one whole bottle in a single night, and none of us woke up hungover. Well, maybe one person did, but you know, like this shit's super clean.
Yeah, no, he did such a good job. I'm a big fan of that tequila. I think it's like the #1 selling tequila last year or something crazy like that.
Yep.
Yeah, it broke some massive record that just blew my mind. Like, of course he would do that. He does everything.
His energy drink Zoa is fucking fire too.
I've had that as well. It was good. I liked it a lot. It felt very like natural.
Yep. Yeah, because the caffeine's from coffee and green tea extract, where like a lot of energy drinks that have a ton of caffeine in them are petroleum based. It's like a substance they get from petroleum that they use as caffeine.
It's really that makes so much sense. But we still drink them.
I don't. I only drink Zoas. Literally, I've only drank Zoas for like 4 or 5 months. I stopped drinking coffee and everything because like coffee makes me feel my stomach hurts. But like a Zoa in the morning, and like there's so many good amino acids and vitamins in there. It's like it balances off the caffeine. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of caffeine. It's like diet cocaine, but
I know. Well, you're telling me. I'm trying to get off of caffeine specifically because of that. I'm like, it's just like it's at a point where I don't even I like need it. Right, it doesn't do anything for me. It helps me maintain, and I don't like that. I'm like, there's a point where hard drugs can do that too. It's like, oh, they're great when you first start, and then now it's like I need it to like not get jittery,
function,
and I need it to function. And it's like that's when you know you have a problem.
Imagine if you went to a rehab center, you're like, I'm addicted to caffeine. I need to check in.
Help, please. Lock me up.
Out. It's like all we drink is caffeine. It's better than heroin.
Yeah, right. It's like that's how we get people off drugs.
Yeah, it really is.
Have you go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, have you been to any like other NFT events or conferences?
Nope.
Just a couple like meetups.
Yeah, I've only gone to one meetup so far. That's it, and the one in New York City.
So it was really cool when I was in the Discord in the early days and was trying to find somebody who was a VeeFriend holder that lived in Ohio. Because I'm like, I need to talk to somebody about this stuff. My girlfriend can't stand me, and doesn't give a shit. So I found this dude. He lived not far from here. He had a roofing company. And so I met up with him for drinks, and we literally just like chilled for 3 hours at my girlfriend's bar. And it was so much fun. Just like I think we both were like, thank God we can talk to somebody about this stuff. And he's a hangout hawk, which is cool. But he was like, yeah, dude, he's like, whenever we have the hawk sessions, he lives like 30 minutes from me. He's like, you can just drive over to my office and like that's where we watch them anyways. You can hop on. So I'm like, sweet. And then he also was like, this was in October, November, but whatever month it was, he was like, yeah, beginning of next month, I'm going down to Miami for NFT Basel. And he's like, if you want, it's a 1-day conference. If you want to go, my room it's like a suite and had 2 bedrooms in it. He's like, I'm just going by myself. He's like, you can have the hotel, you just need to buy the flight or buy the ticket and the flight. I'm like, get out of here. So I ended up doing it, and it was so much fun getting to be around like-minded people. And my favorite part was there was like a couple like Bored Ape and VeeFriend meetups that we went to, and it was kind of like an unmasking where you'd go meet somebody and it's like, yeah, I'm insert your at handle from Twitter or Discord handle here, or I'm this profile picture that you see all the time. And I'm like, oh my God, we've been talking for like 4 months every day on Instagram or Twitter or wherever. And now you can put a face to the name. It was so much fun. That's where I met Sal for the first time too. And
Oh fuck, man.
Sal is a character, man. Like he stands out in a crowd.
So I'm so jelly. That's what I mean. Like everybody's gotten to meet each other. Like I can't wait to give Sal and Amanda a big hug, and fucking Ron and Alyssa and Droshik and Corey and fucking
I want to meet. I'm excited to meet Jeremy.
Jeremy, dude. Oh my god. It's so funny. I was just thinking about this the other day because I was just looking at my Amazon order history, and I was like, why did I order this tripod for a phone? Like I I definitely wasn't using a tripod for a phone. I was like, oh yeah, Jeremy was on live one day propping up his phone like right in the beginning on like a shoe or something, and it kept falling down. I was like, dude, I'm buying you a fucking tripod. Send me your address right now. And he did. So I like sent him a tripod, like a little. It was like $40 or something. Like it wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
I was just like laughing because I was like, damn, I forgot about that completely.
Oh, that's such a cool little story. Yeah, no, Jeremy's awesome. I remember when I've obviously been following him since day one. And it's really cool to see the communities built, especially off of the backs of like a lot of other communities, but still centered around VeeFriends. He's just like a genuine dude. Like he embodies a lot of the same things that for other reasons that we love Gary, right? In terms of like the type of human he is. And he's just like entertaining, right? And that comes from his background of being in theater and stuff too. So he's good at storytelling. It was all the stars aligned for him, which is awesome. Like I wish him the best. I've been trying to get him on my podcast, and he messaged me that he was open to it, but we just have not had time to, or like been able to lock down a time to do it. I'm like, it would be so much fun to
here's the
kick
thing.
around with him.
Isn't he working for Vayner now?
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean,
is.
he's in what capacity?
He was just out bowling with him with fucking the Vayner X crew and shit.
Oh, it was because somebody that had a bowling boa NFT gave him the access.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah,
so maybe
somebody gifted him the access because he couldn't make it to the bowling boa thing and was like, "Hey, Jeremy, do you want this?" And obviously he said yes.
Got it.
People were trying to get him to apply because they were taking creators for, I don't know if it was for VeeFriends specifically, but it was something under the VaynerX umbrella. And he was like, he said he didn't apply because he wanted to focus on his thing first and building it up in his own name. And then, who knows, that might lead to more of a partnership thing than like a working for him thing. Yeah, I don't think he's working for him outside of being a mod in VeeFriends.
Interesting. Okay, because I know like for Vayner, if you work there, you're like kind of not allowed to do podcast appearances unless you like exclusively don't talk about Vayner at all.
Which is literally his whole thing.
Yes. So it's because I had somebody that was like, I met them early in the VeeFriends community, and then they started working with Vayner after, and he was like, dude, I'm so sorry, I can't do our show this week. They literally like won't let me. It's in my contract. I didn't even realize it. But yeah, I'm not allowed to do it. They said like no shows right now. So I'm like, all right, bet, no worries. Like I completely understand, dude. Like I'm not gonna get you in trouble or anything like that. Like
right.
I was like, hopefully, I could just get Gary on and you could come on with him or something. Like
yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, that'll be a dream. I'm excited to go on like my podcasting journey. It's a similar kind of thing to what you're doing. I don't know the full like scope of if you just really talk about anything and everything or if there's more targeted. But we've been on a couple different waves this whole conversation. So mine is definitely, it's called Beat Around the Blockchain, and it's really about like obviously Web3 business, entrepreneurship, and NFTs and all of the people behind it. And so just getting to kind of, if you've ever watched Impact Theory.
No.
Highly recommend it. It's Tom Bilyeu's. He's actually going to be at VeeCon, which is cool. But his whole concept is around just like interviewing the brilliant minds behind all of these things. And so mine is more around like in the concept of business and Web3 and NFTs, just people that are really into the space, getting to pick their brains. Like it's sort of selfish because I just want to learn. I want to have an excuse and platform to be able to have these conversations and brainstorm ideas, but also like I think a lot of people want that too and want another source of information as well as entertainment because we can
Oh
still have
yeah.
fun and shoot the shit, um, and just have like a center stage for it. So it's a way to give value to those who want it, but also give value to myself so I can continue to learn and just meet new people, especially like in this like feel seemingly secluded environment because the community is small. Like as big
Yep.
as it feels sometimes, it is very small in the grand scheme of things. And so like everybody really can know everybody.
Yeah, if you think about a community of like 10,000 people, essentially, it's not very big at all. Like, it's wild that, for me with my NFT project, it's been really stagnant because I haven't been active in the NFT community. So like, how the hell am I supposed to let people know? But then at the same time, I was just looking at my project and my NFT had 400 views on it on OpenSea. And I was like, wait, I've like never seen an NFT with 400 views on it. Like, why isn't this
Mm.
selling? Like, what is going on? And then uh, a few months ago, I remember back that I didn't know that after the 6 month mark, it delists itself. So for
Oh,
like a
really?
month, my project was all not even listed for sale. And I'm like, what the
Oh,
fuck? Because I'm just so in like entrenched in my job right now. Like
right.
while we're getting our staff up and everything, and but it's like what I needed to do. Like I'm like I was talking to the right token holders. I was like, I want to buy land this year. Let's all come together. We'll buy some land. And it was
Yeah.
just like, holy shit. After I talked to one of my business advisors, he's into mortgage lending and stuff like that. He's like, dude, that's not realistic. He's like, can you even buy property? Like, you own your own home? Like, you're gonna just rent or live with the in-laws like forever. You got to have your own home base set first, and then you got to
Mhm.
get this, and this taken care of to be able to have that much land and that. Like going through the whole thing with me, and I'm just like, damn, like talk about a gut check. But thank you. Like now I can
Right.
accurately, start working on this, and that's exactly what's happening. Like my taxes are set. I have a job that's going to make six figures. I My credit's going to be like over seven between 700 and 750. By the
Heck
time I
yeah.
look for a house, and so is my fiance's. We're gonna have like no bad debt, and like just within the next 8 to 14 months now. And it's like I have to. I swear to God, so much at my job when I hate my fucking job because sometimes I do. Obviously, it just happens when you're working for somebody.
Mhm.
Um, I just have like Gary's voice playing in my head, like you're just young as shit. Like I'm 32,
Yeah.
you know, but like
I
I'm
say it
just
out
young.
loud all the time. Like, you're young as shit. And I'm like, I definitely am, right? But I'm like impatient and I've got all
Yeah,
these ambitions. And I mean, to your point, you're like, oh man, like you had such a big head start earlier on. And it's like, I'm not trying to waste it. Like, where does that mean that I can take this when I'm 30, when I'm 40? And so, like, I try to remember macro patience, micro speed. Like, it's okay to be like quick on the day to day, but also remember to be patient in the long term. Like, things will play out the way that they're supposed to.
yeah, and I mean the other part is like, okay, if you have an NFT that's centered around farming, when should you release the NFT?
When you have land,
No, I
I don't
mean
know.
I
What do
have
you mean?
land. I'm growing hemp, but when do plants start happening? In the spring and
Oh,
early
like time
summer.
of year.
I
Mm,
I released it in August. So
mm,
like the end of August, like just kind of like I'm doing crowdfunding, and Droshik was like, "You have the art now, release it. Just release it. Don't overthink it. You're gonna overthink it. Just release it."
yeah.
I was like, okay. So I just was like, okay, guys, crowdfunding project. Thank you guys for supporting. Da da da. And like I told them exactly what I'm doing with all the money. I keep a ledger that shows everything I've spent the money on. So like
Mm.
I'm very upfront and transparent with it, and but it just dies down quick because I'm not doing any farming
Right.
from
What
October on.
I'm curious how did you find your community, or how did you build this community of people that invested in it on the front end back in
It
August?
was it was basically all VFam, and there's still like a handful of like my close VFam that don't have it yet, and I really like
Mhm.
that's part of like why I can't wait to meet them in person. I want to know why they haven't bought, not because of like why haven't you bought, but just like
Right.
why haven't you bought? What can I do better that's gonna make it so you believe in this enough to buy into it? Like
Mhm.
it's I just want to know because this is it turned from a fucking crowdfunding project into literally like my life passion now, and like I know it's somebody was like, "Oh, you're copying Gary," but I'm like, it's a nod to Gary, right? Like I'm on version 2. I want to make like educational characters based on the things that I'm doing because I'm carbon farming with hemp and all that kind of stuff. Um, so what I want to do, where the heck is my list of that? But I have different characters. Like it started with the forbearing farmer. That was it started with a conversation with Droshik, like because we were all talking on Clubhouse about farming and whatnot, and they were picking my brain about it, and then I just was randomly like, farmers are the real patient pandas, and um, then I looked for synonyms to patient, and I saw forbearing, and I looked up what forbearing meant. It's like a very serious like patience, like a your patience through like the worst of it, like so I
Mm.
was like forbearing farmer, like and then he made
That's
this
awesome.
character and sent it to me, and it was just like okay, what can I do with this? I was like, okay, so maybe for version 2 I'll release the forbearing farmer as a character with different backgrounds, and then I was like, wait, but forbearing farmer, what about like bustling bacteria, carbon capture? Like I just started thinking like all these names that like
Yeah.
so now I could teach people about like bacteria and what it does to soil and how you feed your soil bacteria, and then
Sure.
the carbon capture and capybara is like teaching you about carbon capture and why it's important, how you do it, what plants are best for it, and
Hmm.
then like all these different things that the forbearing farmer is teaching you about regenerative farming. So it breaks it up into different pieces of content that I can like work on, and it's not just me. Like I have a couple people that have messaged me and said like, "Oh, I'd love to hear you talk about hemp because you can like see how passionate you are." But at the same time, you got to mix it up a little bit. Like it can't just be me. I feel like.
Right. No, that's so fascinating. Huh.
So yeah,
That's a
no,
really
that's
cool concept.
that's what I'm working on with V2 in my project, and it's getting there. Like I'm trying. Oh, the nurturing nug. That's my favorite one.
Oh, that's
Teach
a good
people.
one. That's the one I would want. The
Yeah,
nurturing dog.
the terrific terpene, like it, the teamwork tree, because like in carbon farming with hemp, we're gonna be working hand in hand with trees. Like big
Mm,
regular real trees that grow for 40 years, 50 years, but we're gonna let them keep growing. What a concept.
mm. Yeah.
But it's so yeah, I'm working on like crazy shit now. It's just like it's really turned into this lifelong project where, I'm like looking at um I've looked at so much land, like I realistically know what I'm looking for in land now, which is crazy, and it's becoming more realistic by the day. Like I can't fucking wait, man. And that's why VeeCon, like my biggest goal is to just get 75 people out of 10,000 to believe in me enough to buy the rest of my tokens. That's my goal for VeeCon, 100%. And if they did that, then I'd have enough to fund this season, get a tractor, which would fund expansion massively because there's only so much I can do with just my two hands.
Mm,
If I got a little tractor, the amount of carbon capturing I'm doing massively offsets any amount of carbon I'm putting out with my tractor, and it's a little. I'm only getting a little baby one, so I can't wait. And once that happens, I can start looking at grants for an environmental cleanup project at the dump. They're talking about letting us grow hemp on the town dump to pull like
Mm.
the polyfluoroalkyl substances, the PFAS, which is like the what's used in like Teflon coating and like the coating on paper plates and all that stuff. It breaks down and gets into the water system and then into our bloodstream. It affects like all your hormones and hormone glands and everything like that.
Jeez. I
So
didn't know any of this. That's wild.
yeah, that's how
It
I got.
really is a science.
It's such a science, dude, and there's like real scientific studies that show that like this PFAS stuff is not easy to get out and like clean it up, but for some reason hemp, there's a couple different sources. There's a study in Australia that they did by grounding up hemp and using it as a filter medium. So it was like carbon, um, diatomaceous earth, and hemp. I'm not sure about the diatomaceous earth, but it's definitely carbon, something else in hemp. And they ran it through with a certain contact time, and I think it was like an hour. In an hour contact time, it removed 98% of the PFAS, and it didn't just like get trapped in the molecules where it was like, oh, what do we do with this PFAS now? It was just gone.
What?
Yes.
That's
So
insane.
there's a professor in one of the prestigious universities on the East Coast. I, I feel like he'd be easy to find, so I haven't really talked about him much.
Mm.
But he he's doing studies on it, like actual like small scale greenhouse studies, and he's willing to partner up with us to like add legitimacy to promote this to our mayor. We've already sent them a proposal and everything. It's
Really?
Yeah, we're just trying to get grant money at this point.
Well, it's so cool. So it's like there's a lot of tangible things that you're doing out here in the meantime. And it's just a matter of like we can get the grants if we can finish selling the project and get the funding to start this thing up. Like it's all go time from there.
All go time, and in the meantime, and my family's good now because I have a job and I'm having some money and saved up and some debts paid off. So it's a little bit of money for like I had to pay my lease for my land. It's $3,000 and I don't have that in the project right now. Like so I was
Mhm.
like I got it, and I believe in my project, so I just obviously would pay myself back the 3,000 because it's supposed to come out of the project, but. Yeah, I was like, I know I'll get it. Like, I just believe in it so much. I'm like, I'm gonna go to VeeCon and fucking sell all 75. Like, I just feel it.
That's
I feel-
so awesome. I mean, dude, I really don't think it would be that wild because first off, like you said, 75 people. I'm like, people can buy more than one.
exactly.
And I know for a fact a lot of people, me included, are going there and keeping it like we're making sure we're liquid when we're going there, at least to some extent. Everyone's got different bags. Mine is not wild by any means, but it's enough to be able to like I'm gonna meet people like you and that are doing all of these really cool things that you just don't hear about for like because they didn't come from Gary V or like these big massive project owners, right? So it didn't come from Yuga Labs. I don't hear about it across Twitter. I just didn't stumble upon it whenever it was posted, right? And so it's like meeting all these people, buying into the jockeys, the people, whether it's something that like I'm excited about personally, or I just believe in that human, want to support them. Like I want to make sure that I have something to play with, so I can be like, yeah, let's do this. Like, what's your project? Buy it on the spot, and then go tweet it out and send it to all of my people, right? So like some of those people might not even come from VCon; it'll come from the people that are following them, and there's a lot of people with big followings. You stumble into the right people, there's I mean endless amounts of opportunity, right? So I think it's incredibly realistic if you talk about it enough, especially when you find like the people that are really interested in that topic too. I think it
Hmm.
would be, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and on top of like obviously, if you talk to me for literally 5 minutes, you can tell that I'm super passionate. And I know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Hmm.
So I printed out stickers, and they got a
Yo,
QR code on them, the follow thing, so they can literally
straight to
just
the OpenSea.
straight to our website. So it like
Mm.
shows our website, so it legitimizes it. They can see my bio, like who I am. I'm not just like bullshitting you. I created this whole website, and then right at the top of the page, buy on OpenSea. So I think it'll be good. And then they can look at our socials and stuff. We haven't been crazy active, but it wasn't farming season, so as
Right.
I'm farming now every day, I'm posting content when I'm there and creating longer form content that I'm editing in the background for my holders and whatnot. So I'm like, just I had to wait till farming season. And I'm like, I'm definitely not releasing V2 this year, because if I'm gonna release V2, it's gonna be in the spring right before we start growing, or
Right.
right when we start growing. So that way it's like peak season.
Yeah, the hype is there.
Yeah,
We're already thinking about it.
they're going to see the hemp field for months, and more people, because I think that I do think there's a lot of people that are just sitting back and waiting, because last year we got started so late. It's like, I don't know how much you know about my background, but like I had a CBD business with a partner, and he
Mm.
basically like left to another business, stole $30,000 worth of stuff from me. It basically shut down my business, and
Wow.
I had to start over on everything, and I just didn't have money for farming, so I was going to not do it, unfortunately. And that's where the NFT project came in. I was like, oh, I can still do it this year. So I planted super late into August, beginning of September. Um, none of them really popped up because it's too late in the season. They just went dormant. But the important thing it did, that was the second year I've grown on that. The first year, we had one of the worst droughts that Massachusetts has ever had. I've never dealt with a drought before. I didn't set up my irrigation system before I planted everything. And then I was having a hard time with the irrigation system, because there's a lot of things I'm good at. I can do carpentry, I can do farming, I can do electrical. Plumbing, for some reason, is one of my weaknesses. But I finally got it set up, but it was just too late. The soil was like dry, like this far deep. My seeds basically baked to death, and nothing popped up. So I came back the second year, like after getting gut punched late in the season, and the farmer I
Mhm.
leased from was like, "You're back, all right." And so what I did though was I thought about it on more of a scientific approach, right? After reading all these scientific articles and like now really diving into the facts and data of it, I was like, oh wait, I don't even know what my soil looks like. So I get one of those like pH meter things, and I'm poking it in the ground, and it seems all right, but I'm like, let me ask around. So New England Organic Farming Association, they are here in my state, and they actually got me an interview with Fox when we had our hemp farm the first time, like my first year growing. We were on Fox News because Fox reached out to them about the hemp program, and they immediately called me. Like, here, you want this interview? Like, we couldn't think of anybody better. I was like, oh, fuck yeah. So, like, we've always been close. And I was talking to them, and they were like, oh, we have this carbon testing that we can do for your soil. We partner with Cornell University. And I'm like, okay, hell yeah. So they came out on the hottest day of the year last year, and dug up soil samples with me. And I found out my soil was perfect, minus one thing. My pH was off. My pH was too acidic. When your soil is acidic, it kills off all carbon life forms. So all the bacteria, amoebas, worms don't like it. Nothing wants to be around it, because like acid is bad for carbon, and everything feeds off of carbon in the soil. So it's not even doing its job
Right.
of pulling carbon. So I did two coatings of lime. I did like my beneficial bacteria mix that I use. Fish, it's called fish shit. And then another thing of like fish emulsion, and I explain it like all in my grow log, but all natural like inputs. And I tested it again in November, and between August, September, October, November, 3 months, I sequestered 4 tons of carbon in that time, and none of my hemp grew. So it was just, I planted a cover crop of winter rye, and I fixed the soil. So now this year I went back and did my soil samples last week for the season to start, right? The fucking soil is so black and beautiful, like it's rich, and there's worms all throughout it, dude. And it looks completely night and day from when I started growing 2 years ago. And then I just overseeded. So like I have a bunch of dormant seed. I just planted another 20,000 seeds in the field, just to be like, fuck you, you're growing this year. Like this is gonna happen. So, but this year it's different, right? Because our field is completely green, and I basically just I mowed everything down to nothing, and then chopped into it like this much and planted into it. And now
Mhm.
everything's going to die and feed the soil, and then the hemp is going to be the first thing that starts popping up as soon as it gets warm. Once we
Mm.
get like good rain and a long stretch of warm weather, it's it's over with. Like I already know, like it's either going to be VeeCon or it's a month into the growing season when I go out there and there's an acre full of, you can't even look without seeing hemp. I'm walking through it knee high like this.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. So it's coming, dude, and that's why I'm excited, and we're working on another plot of land that's we were supposed to grow on it. That's another reason we failed the first year at this land that I'm at now. We started late because we were supposed to have this land. We saw it in the winter. It was like, even in the winter, the soil was beautiful. It was like the perfect grow spot for hemp because it was hidden. Nobody would find it and think it's weed and just fucking steal it for stupid reasons. Um, or like kill us for it or some wild shit like that. Like it was
Mhm.
nice. We come back in the spring in May and all the topsoil is stripped.
Mm.
I'm like, this is great. So the soil is like a rock, like all of it is like rigid. We can't even like put a plow through it. It was just awful. So we had to like emergency find another place. Well, that guy got in trouble with the town for stripping his topsoil, and now he's like gonna have to pay all these fines, and I think he's gonna end up paying us to fix it.
Oh,
So,
that's a good
but
problem to
what?
have.
Yeah, but once that land's fixed, I want to grow hemp on it now.
Right.
And in the meantime, I want to show how much carbon goes from like dead land to land that's like beautiful. The soil's rich and with hemp and all these cover crops and different things like that. Like I was meticulous, dude. I went through the 1 acre I have and I got rid of what the hell, I can't remember what it's called. It's in my plant identifier app. It's a type of weed that's a noxious weed and it's not native to my area, and I was like letting it grow because it looked cool. It like grows and has these big spikes on it and stuff. I was like, oh, that's got to be harmless. I found out like that can make your soil acidic. So I
Oh,
literally was like
jeez.
chopping all of them down, taking them off the field and throwing them off the side. And this year, there's none of them growing because my soil's not acidic, and I chopped them to
Mm.
shit before they could seed.
Right. Man, that sounds like a lot of work.
It's been a lot of work, but it looks like, for my project, it seems like I'm not doing anything. That's like the fucked up part. It's like,
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Like, I feel like a lot of people have been talking about that recently because they're just like floor this, floor that, and nothing's happening. But like, there's so it's like you sit there and you're like, oh, it was Gary talking to his brother AJ. Like, if you look at Discord and people are like bashing him about the floor price, and he's like, if you knew the meeting that I just had, like he just got out of a massive meeting for this big like IP burst that's about to happen, and it's like they have no idea. But that's where it's like, fine, then go sell. Like I'm just more confident in my project now.
yeah,
So I don't know. It's wild. Like you're
that's
doing
inspiring.
all of this labor work, especially, and you're having all meeting all these people, you're making all these connections, you're learning all of these things to make this business successful. And from the project holder side, unless they're standing right by you or you're filming every second of every day and posting it, like they're not seeing any of that. And so they're just like,
Yeah. My
yeah.
holders are like ride or dies. Like they know, like they don't care at all. It's like just getting the new people on board. And I have like people that aren't holders that are their role is called seedling. And every time I see a seedling comment, I'm like, why haven't you bought yet? Like you've been in the
Mhm,
Discord chilling, you've seen everything like that I can
mhm.
show you. And I'm obsessed with it, dude. It really became like a life project because now I'm just like, what can I do to make everybody believe in this? Like, they
Yeah.
commented earlier, like, when you guys are 80, what's the main positive non-carbon footprint that you guys want to leave on this earth? And I'm just thinking, like, bro, I pulled 4 tons of carbon last year. Like, I maybe for the first time in my 31 years of life at that time, um, uh, may have had a negative carbon impact. Like, no
Mhm.
carbon was emitted by me.
Hmm.
So it's a
Yeah.
wild thing to think about, and I'm just one person. It's like, imagine if we get farmers to dedicate 5 to 10 acres out of their 1,000 acres to grow hemp and pull carbon, and by the way, get carbon credits if we can get a carbon credit program going. Like that's one of my main goals for the project too, is like um, to get the USDA, which is the U.S. Department of
Mhm.
Agriculture, on board with having a U.S. wide carbon credit program for farmers.
Hmm.
And first step is just to get my USDA hemp license and then start just like weaving my fingers into
Right.
it.
No, that's awesome. The thing about growing a project the way that you're doing it though is it's like the people, like you said, that buy into it are ride or dies. They're in it for you. They're in it because they believe in you. Like they're not in it because they want a quick flip. And that's the problem with so many projects is especially at the beginning, people go in and then they go and sell immediately for a couple bucks of a flip. And it's like, good. I want them out. I don't want them here if this is going to be a really like a 10, 20, 30-year project, a lifetime project. We want people who are going to be here for the whole ride and they're going to be with me for all of the ups, the downs. Like, just frankly, like as a project owner, I'm going to need them at times in the same way that they're like inspired by what I'm doing. And
Hmm.
there's a lot of ways that that community can be vital in your success. And the last thing you need are fudders in it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think like because I only released 100. I was being kind of smart with it. I didn't want to go
Yeah.
crazy and release a big project to
You
start.
don't need a 10K project right now.
Not yet. Like I think I
Yeah.
probably will for version 2. Like I'll probably do 10,000, but I'm really taking my time on it. I'm finding different artists like Choopy Doodles. Um, I really want her to fucking do Bustling Bacteria because it's like the perfect style for her. Like, how do you draw bacteria?
Mhm.
And like you know who that
Yeah.
is, right? Like
Yep.
Furbo. Yeah, so like you can imagine her drawing the perfect bacteria, right? Like it's
So
like
you're doing different artists for different parts of the project. You're not just doing one artist for it all.
yeah, I really
That's
want
awesome.
to help, the artists that I really love and have met through this community. Like if my project takes off, great, like I would love to be able to help them. It's kind of like my theme, I was on Ron Jordan's podcast and he was asking me all these questions and he's like, it seems like there's a theme in your life. Like I keep writing down these major things that happen. It's like, this major thing happened, you brought your boy with you. This major thing happened, you brought this person with you. This thing happened, you tried to bring these people with you, but they didn't listen. Like you're always trying to like help people no matter what. And I'm like, well, yeah, like I came from nothing. And 10 years ago, 9 years ago, I was couch surfing on low income housing, like in the projects. I was basically homeless, like I was not even a step, like I was like a trip about, from being on the streets. It was
Right.
crazy. So I came from nothing and with no financial help except for like meeting a smart woman with finances and Jay Smooth. Oh, what up? What up? Except meeting a woman that's like smart with finances, so getting better about that. And it's I just want to reach back and help as many people as possible. And I really feel like now that the initial like 25 people that bought into my project that were like ride or dies and believe in it, and we're just like, yeah, we don't care that you didn't have any help last year. We know it's coming. Like, like we know you know what you're doing. You talk
Mhm.
about this shit so much. Um, and obviously, like, if we look back on like my pictures of my first year growing hemp outdoors, we're getting 3 pounds was the average, but we had some 5, 6 pound plants outside growing for CBD, and you would never know they're CBD. They look like regular weed and smell amazing. Look, it was overall just fucking amazing, and it's basically all the shit I'm doing now, except I'm learning how to no-till. And like that's what I think some
Right.
people have failed to realize is like I'm still learning this, like of
Mhm.
course I'm gonna fuck up. Of course I'm gonna plant too late and not even know that seeds go dormant. Like why didn't I think of this? I planted it. I'm
Yeah.
at the end of the season, like what happened? Like
Yeah.
and I'm talking to all these farmers and they're like, dude, like if it knows it's not gonna survive, why is it gonna pop up?
Mm.
Oh fuck, you're right.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing, dude. Like, it's a journey. You're learning every single year more and more. And I'm sure there's going to be things you do this year that you're like, man, why didn't I think of that? And then the next year it's going to be even better, right? Like, that's just a part of the process. And that's one of the cool things about, like, I think we're going to meet a lot of people that are in the early stage of whatever their process is, because we're going to get to be a part of a lot of people's journey, whether we buy into their project or just them as a person, or just follow their journey and want to support them in other ways that are non-monetary, right? Like, we're going to get to see the growth of so many great humans. And one of the things that I loved about Gary's, he was talking about VeeCon, was he compared it to summer camp. He's
Mm,
like, dude, everyone's gonna, like, day one, everyone's gonna get to meet all of these people that they've been interacting with for the last year, and that's gonna be great. He's like, imagine what things are gonna be like on day 3, when everybody's like, we've spent the whole weekend together, all day, all night long, like, hardly anybody's gonna get any sleep, and we're just gonna keep going and, like, building these connections with people. It's gonna be so beautiful. But then imagine all of that, but VeeCon in 2023 or 2024, like, after we've done, like, the people who have stayed and just held their tokens and come to every single one, like,
mm-hmm.
it's going to be such a tight group of people. And I'm so excited for, like, the in-depth relationships that we're gonna all have, the people we're gonna grow into because of each other over the next 3 years, and, hopefully beyond. So I think it's a really cool time to be in the know and a part of this, starting our own projects, just getting to meet more people. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to look back on, and we'll be really grateful that we stumbled upon it last year.
So that's what like you're most looking forward to at VeeCon too, is just meeting the V fam.
Yeah, I mean, the V fam, there's non-V friend holders there too, right? Like, people that just
Mm,
bought the tickets. So I think it's just the type of community that this project encompasses are just really, really great people. Right? Like, as a whole, I don't think there's any community that's like this to this degree, and it's just amazing people that just want to give and love and are so smart and so creative and driven and enthusiastic and fun and entertaining, and come from all walks of life, all different backgrounds, but we all have something in common, and we have similar values and things that are really important when it comes to building relationships. And so I just think it's going to be like an out of this world experience. Like, it's going to be its own, even though it's in a city and a massive stadium, it's going to be its own little incubator, and it's going to feel like summer camp, because we're going to leave and we're going to be like, wait, I want to go back to that and what
yeah.
that world felt like. And because it, like, won't feel like reality. And then the next year is going to be even more insane, right? So I'm my goal is to meet as many people as possible, put as many faces to the Discord names as possible, and just really start to make new connections. I would love to find people that I do business with in the future,
Yep.
schedule the next year's worth of podcasts while I'm there, right? Like, I would love to just have a full schedule and just get to know people, because I think it's a really cool community to get to know.
Yeah, it really has been. I'm like feel so blessed to have met this community. The V Friends community is unlike anything else, and like I said, most of my holders have come from that. Like there's not a single person I know that owns an NFT in my regular life. It's
Yeah.
it's really crazy. Like the guy, so I got free seeds last year. They're still certified, tested, all that, but he's like he didn't keep hemp farming. He quit. So he has like a 15-gallon tote of seeds, and he shipped me like the biggest flat rate box full. It was all the seeds I needed for
Mm.
last year and this year so far. And he's sending me more now. And I was like, dude, can you just send me all of them? Like, I'll send you your first NFT, because he's like looking to get into it. He didn't know how, so I was like, this is how you do it. He set up his wallet, and I sent him a Terra Apothecary like from my collection. I was like, thank you for like giving me all these seeds. Like, you've invested so much money into this, that. And he's like, oh, I know. Like, seeds are not cheap.
Yeah.
Hemp seeds, at least, they're usually about a dime a piece. And you're talking about 20, 30,000, and
Yeah.
You know, so it's a few $1,000s that he sent over, and a lot more coming. So it's just the least I can do, but it's just cool to be able to introduce people to their first NFT. Like I just put up a video of like how to set up your first NFT, how to buy your first NFT. So like how to set up your MetaMask and then buy it and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Just trying to get more of my people that are watching this, like, what the fuck is Adam doing? And try to get a few of them on board, because I know like a few of them even said like, oh, I believe in what you're doing. I just have no clue what the fucking NFT is. I don't know how to buy one. I don't know. Like, so I
Mhm.
just was like, here's a video. Like, learn how to buy one. It's not that hard.
Yeah. No, and initially when we got through the NFT craze, I don't know, it was probably like late fall. There was tons of people creating content around like educating people. One of my favorite things Gary did was like onboard us, and he did
Yep.
such a great job walking us through every single step, getting us ready for this thing. And like he's done it. He did it again with V2, which was really awesome. But since that like fall, early winter period, and when the hype started to die off, people like people kind of started to get out of it because there weren't as many like horrible rug pulls or these random penguins that would go to be worth 40 grand after you spent $200 on them. Like there's a lot less of that.
Yep.
And especially for no, like when it's for no reason, like they're anonymous holders, right? So it didn't make sense in the first place. But ever since that started to die off, and people they're like, oh, I lost all this money and now I'm like getting out, which is totally fair. Now it's like it feels like it's back to that core community again. Like there's still new people coming in, but it almost feels like the dust is settled. It's not as much of a craze, which I kind of like. It's quiet.
Yeah, dude,
And
there's only like 500 or 600 people in Twitter Spaces for like those rooms and stuff now. I'm like,
I know. Well, it's crazy because it's like we're still here now. When we get this next round of whatever the next craze thing is, like we're the vets. We're the people that we followed a year ago and we're like trying to learn from. So I look at that as it's our responsibility to educate people, to teach them what's safe, what's not safe, what you need to do from a security perspective, the lessons we've learned, the ways we've screwed up. Like, dude, I don't know if you got insight into this, but a couple of months, this would have been, maybe this was like August or September. Rich the Kid had a project.
I did
And
not know that.
yeah, so Rich the Kid did a NFT project, and Gary bought some. And like he actually did buy some, at least I'm pretty sure. But I went and I minted one, and then I went and bought another one. And I bought them I think I bought them at like 0.15 or something. And this is when Ethereum was like $4,800. So it was like at its peak. So it was a lot of money. And I probably had about $1,000 tied up into it. And yeah, like it had all of these, the classic roadmaps, this, that. I'm like, oh, it's Rich the Kid. Like, what could go wrong? Like, he's a famous dude. He's not going to ruin his reputation. Dude fucking ghosts this project. Took the money, bought a Bored Ape, said it was for the community, and then ghosted the project. I'm like, are you kidding me? I was butthurt. And like I've seen Rich the Kid hang out with Gary V. And so I'm like, you know better. You know better. And I couldn't believe it. But like that was like the first rug pull that I was a part of. And it was like one of the few that I really didn't think was gonna be a rug pull, but it hurt. And right before that, I was trying to get into this other project. Some people might remember it. It was called the Nines. And it was like it ended up getting swarmed by bots on the mint. But what happened was I went and I needed to get Ethereum. I found out about like the day before. So I didn't get on a whitelist or anything. And I was like, crap, I don't have the money yet. So I went and bought the money in Coinbase, and I had a buddy of mine. I was like, hey, can I borrow like half an ETH or whatever I needed from it? It's like, yeah, sure. So he sends it to me, and I go through that project, hit the fan, and some like bought 1,000 of them, and it was like a whole thing. I ended up, and yeah, like gas was like $1,000 per mint, and the mint was supposed to be 0.07. It was a mess. This was real Wild West days, man. And we're like, I didn't even know what gas was at the time. And so we go through, like, get past the project. I don't buy into it, whatever. and I'm like, okay, well, let me go send this money back to my friend. And he had sent it to me from his Coinbase wallet. So the way MetaMask works is if you send me from your MetaMask, that address that it came from is the same one that I send to. Well,
Right.
Coinbase, that's not the case. And I didn't know that. So Coinbase, like, I don't know. I haven't looked into it enough, and I really should. But I don't know if it like auto generates a like different wallet address every time, or if the send like when I send it to you, it's going to display something different for you because it like goes through Coinbase as a medium and it's like just a generated address. I don't know what it is. But when I went and like I didn't ask him for his address, I just looked at the address that it came from and I'm like, okay, let me just send it back to that. And I texted him, hey, money's on its way. And he was like, okay. And he texted me like an hour later. He's like, it's not here. I'm like, it says it was delivered. It's not here. And I went and looked and I went into Etherscan and it was like a Coinbase wallet, like Coinbase, the company's like intermedium Ethereum wallet. It got locked up in some wallet that doesn't exist anymore.
Oh my
And
god.
it was like $1,200. And I wanted to die because I still had to pay the dude. Like I was at the
Wow.
money. That money just got burnt. And I was like, well, when it clears the money I was gonna do in like a week, then I guess I'll send that to you. And so yeah, like I literally just sent it to a ghost wallet that doesn't exist and it's just gone forever. So like little
Dude.
mistakes like that, dude, it hurt, man. If I wouldn't have had V Friends as my first NFT and like the win it was, I probably would have been scared off too. Like
Yeah, it's
all of
easy to
these.
get scared off because like it's so easy to get scammed or fished into some
Oh my
kind of
gosh,
thing.
I'm
Like,
still terrified of getting scammed. I don't click on anything. You
yeah, dude,
can't.
my girl fucking I guess one of her friends like messaged her saying, "Oh, can you verify this link for me or something? Send me your number." And she actually did it. And then she screenshotted the link they sent, and it was basically a password reset link for her Instagram, and the end of the URL was the code they needed. So they hacked into her account. I'm like, babe.
Oh geez. Is that like so I've been seeing a lot of Instagram hacks going on lately. Where like I'm getting DMs from people and it's like the human, like it's their actual Instagram, but then they're like asking me like weird questions. I'm like, those aren't things that you would ask me about, or like you're not into
Mhm.
NFTs. You don't post about it at all. But no, you don't have an
Yeah.
Ethereum wallet. And yeah, it cracks me up because like I can sniff it out so easily, but I totally get why a lot of people just like, especially if their radar isn't on as dramatically as mine is, like it'd be so easy to get scammed. And
So easy.
it's just so like I literally like empathize with these people now whenever they DM me. And I'm like, I hope you're okay. Like, I'm sorry you feel like you have to do this. Like, I'm like, is there anything I can do? Like, I had one that was like, thank you for understanding. And then, like, they were trying to get me to like scam me like 50 grand or something crazy. And I, oh, what was that? They then like apologized, said thank you for understanding. Was like, I'm trying to get money for my mom. She's in the hospital. Can you like spare $100? I'm like, no. If you would have been a human and like talked to me in the first place, maybe. I'm like, you just try to scam me out of 50 grand. You know what that would do to anyone?
Ruin their life.
It would ruin their life.
It's fucking crazy. It's like the same people that fall for the oh, I'll send you $500 if you send me $50. Just like,
Yeah.
here's what I want you to do. Like, I'm gonna send it to you, or they'll be like, oh, I'm gonna send 2,500 to your Cash App. All you have to do is change your email on your Instagram to this email. You know, it's just fucking hilarious, like that people fall for
Yeah.
that because it's like,
Well, because
how do you not?
they were like, oh, it's too good to be true. Like, I want quick money, but like, let's try it out. What's the
Yeah.
worst that could happen? You know what I followed up with that guy for? I went and found some of Gary V's what are they called? His trash talk videos for garage selling. I was like, here's a way to make $100 pretty quick. and send to him. And then he goes and starts deleting all of the messages he sent me and then blocks me.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow. What a
like, dude, you can
scumbag.
$100 you can find. Like anybody can find $100 if they desperately need it. I'm sorry, but like anybody can.
Anybody.
Anybody can. That is not hard. If we're talking thousands, it's different. That's going to take a lot of work, and again, it just depends on your situation and what you have laying around. But
Mm-hmm.
like, there's ways to get money. You just have to go to work for it. People don't want to work for it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't want to work. It's because a lot of people are, like Gary said, they're entitled as fuck. Like, I've been working since I was 13, and I haven't stopped working. I'm 32, dude. You know, like,
Yeah,
I've been working for more years than I haven't been working in my life.
yeah. No, I get it, man. I mean, when I was in college, I was working full time, going to school full time. I've been working full time since then. I started working the second I could get a job when I was 16, and I like it's just a part of my life. It's a part of what I do. And I'm like, okay, well, like 'cause I wanted to play sports. I was really big into sports when I was younger, but I have epilepsy. And
Uh,
so during high school, I got in a really bad hit during practice and I had like a minor seizure. And it was the first one I had had in years. And I went to my neurologist and they cleared me to play. And I was just like, it's not worth it. Dude, I genuinely think that I would have made it pro in any of, not bad. I would say basketball if I was taller. And so not basketball, but I would have made it in football for sure. No doubt about it. Just because like I would have not made there any other option. Right. And so I'm like, well, instead, like while we're still young, I was like, let's just figure out how to make money. Like, cause as much as I love football, I'm like, I'm competitive. Let's find a way I could be competitive. And so now I'm in sales. That led me here. I've been in sales since I was 16 and I love it. Like I love it because I love people, like I get to deal with people every day and like actually do things to help them.
it's so funny that you said your second job was Best Buy. My third job was Best Buy. I was there for a while.
Really?
I started in the back doing inventory, and
Yeah,
then like I would take customers when everybody was busy, and they were like, "You're good with customers. Like, what are you doing in the back?" I'm like, "I don't know. That's what you guys hired me. I tried to get on the sales floor. You didn't want to, like, because I'm just very. I was much rougher around the edges back when I was 16. Like
sure.
I've cleaned up a little bit in those 16 years. So, kind of. Uh, but so they didn't want to put me on the sales floor, and then they finally did, and I was like one of the top people. Always got all the credit apps and all that kind of shit.
Oh yeah.
And then I was trying to get into cell phones, and they didn't want to believe in me to put me into cell phones either. So I left and started selling cell phones and was a top performer there. Like,
Oh yeah. Well, that's a commission job too. So you probably made a lot more money doing that.
oh yeah, Best Buy was chips.
Dude, it was so funny story. When I was 16 and at the time Best Buy was very like adamant on not hiring 16-year-old, like anybody under 18. At least the store I was going to. And so like I applied for like 6 months and they wouldn't take my interview. And I knew I was like, I just need to get in front of them and they'll hire me. I just need to get in front of them so they can like meet me. And I was a cocky little kid, but I still think that with interviewing. But I did open interviews and I'm like, oh, they have to meet me now. So I show up and they're like, oh, you're interviewing for like front lanes, like bring people out. I was like, no, I'm interviewing for sales. And they're like, oh, okay. And went and like had the conversation, liked me, they moved me on, went to another manager. You're interviewing for front lanes, right? No, like I want to be on sales. And I specifically wanted to be in computers or in mobile. And I knew everything about every phone and every computer at the time. I studied it all. I was like, I'm ready. And they're like, oh, okay. And they had to go get a different interview packet, pass me along to another person. I had to go through like 5 interviews. It was ridiculous. But they're like, oh, you're interviewing for front lanes. I'm like, no, I'm not. I need to be on the sales floor. I need to sell things. And so I get to the GM and they basically are like, look, we can't put you in computers or mobile because you have to be 18 to work with contracts. I'm like,
Mm,
okay. And same thing with like mobile, computers was big in hotspots. And
yep.
so contract. I'm like, okay. They're like, do you know anything about TVs. I was like, no. Do you know anything about gaming? Yes. And this is like the year that Xbox One was coming out and the PlayStation 4. It was like that big Christmas year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I can do that. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to put you in home theater. And it was, our store was small. So it was like home theater, gaming, digital imaging, the cameras and stuff, and then appliances. I'm like, I can sell games. So they trained me on all of this stuff. It was like everything but the 2 departments I wanted to work in. But they were like, if you we'll make you seasonal. So I had to leave my steady McDonald's job, which was my first job, and go and take a chance at making more money, which was like $2 more an hour, which was a lot for a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And so I went in and I just went all in on it. And that holiday season, I was a top performer outside of our supervisor in our department. Like I crushed it. And they're like, who the heck is this kid? So they hired me on and let me stay. And I just continued, like every time that I was added, like I moved to 3 different stores and kept getting promoted, and I was just dominating at that job. But like my peak was making like, I think right before I left, I'd just gotten moved up to like $13 or $14 an hour. And I mean, I'm selling $1.2 million for this company a year on average. And at least 30% of that is accessories where they have like a 90% markup. So they're making, they're easily making $300,000 a year from me in profit. And I'm like, I'm getting paid nothing. And so my senior year, I was thinking about, I had to decide in college what I wanted to do. And so I thought I wanted to go into sales. I was debating between sales and marketing. And I'm like, I just feel like the opportunity is in sales. And I'm like, I'm good at it, but can I handle commission? Because it was always demonized at Best Buy. Like, we don't do commission. And so I went to a 100% commission place with a product I knew nothing about. So I sold furniture. And I had to learn it all. And it was really hard because being at a company for 5 or 6 years and you just know everything and then going to like not knowing anything, it was really hard for me.
And fine dining, right?
It was very hard for me. Fine dining and breathing. Couldn't do it. And so I like the first 2 months really tough. And then after that, I started to get in the swing of things and understand like how to work the sales process. And I was making like an absurd amount of money in comparison to what I was at Best Buy. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, this is what commission is like.
Mm-hmm.
and from that on out, I was like, I will be in sales for the rest of my life.
What do you do now?
So I sell enterprise. I'm in enterprise software sales. So I work with companies 500,000 employees plus, and I sell a social media management tool. So if you've ever used like a Hootsuite or a Sprout Social, where you like create content and you schedule it out to all these different platforms, my company does that. We're a little more of a startup in the space, but we're specifically for B2B organizations.
Interesting. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love this company. It's the first time I've worked for a startup. I used to work for HubSpot, which is a massive CRM company. I used to work for Paycom, which is a huge human capital management company or like payroll company. And so I've worked for these huge organizations that taught me a lot when it comes to complex sales cycles. And so going to a startup where no one has their shit together is hilarious.
Oh yeah.
They're just like, they don't know how to do anything. And so I'm a couple months in and I'm like training everybody on board and like how to sell and how to like run a business basically. And it's so funny because people like, I wanted to get into startup space because I could move up quicker because they have to like create positions as they're growing. Right.
Yep.
And whereas if you work for a company that's 4,000 employees, like you have to wait your turn and you got to play a lot of politics to make sure that you're the one that gets chosen and they don't hire externally or from another team or whatever. And I'm like, this isn't quick. I don't want to wait 4 years to get into a management role. I'm like, I want to wait like a year at most. And so I'm like, let's go into startup. I'm like, and I told them on the interview, I was like, I'm not here to be in sales. I'm here to get into leadership and move up. And they're like, okay. So like, I'm already a part of the interviewing process now for new hires.
Damn.
They're like already coaching me on getting people up there. So that's where I say like the macro patience, micro speed. it's it's a way that like I have to remind myself that like it's okay to want to move fast, but like also be patient because the right things will happen at the right time. And it's hard because I just want to go fast.
It's so hard, dude, because like even now, like I work at Mattress Firm, and fucking
Oh, that's
it's
so funny. Mattress, like getting into the Best Buy furniture.
yeah,
Dude, I
exactly.
love selling mattresses, man. I have
It's
a Beauty Rest Black.
oh nice. Yeah, we just got rid of those. They just dropped that line finally.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it wasn't selling much. I don't. It was like an expensive
Really?
hybrid. Yeah,
Mhm.
we sell so many fucking Tempur-Pedics though. It's crazy.
Mhm. I always love
But
the hybrid. Like even the Tempur-Pedic hybrid, I'm a big fan of.
that's my favorite bed, the Pro Adapt medium hybrid.
Yep.
It's like
That was medium hybrid. That was exactly the one I wanted, but there was like no discount internally for that, and there was like an absurd discount for the Beauty Rest
where
for
did you
us.
work?
So I worked at Levin Furniture.
Okay, I think we
So
bought them, didn't they?
it's a company. It used to be a company of Art Van. I don't know who owns them now. The one I worked at went out of business. So
Yeah,
and they were when I was
it's
graduating, they were like, "You want to stay and be a manager?" I'm like, "Absolutely not."
yeah. I like started up just as like a fucking rep last October. I was like,
Yeah.
whatever. I got to go back to work. I got to start somewhere, and what they were paying was like decent. Like even just they have like a base commission and then like plus other commission if you sell enough. And
Oh,
I
nice.
was like, okay, so I can make a decent amount. And then it was like what 4 months later, I got promoted to like an area manager,
Oh,
and
heck
now I'm
yeah.
making six figures. Like I could make the dude who was in
Oh,
my
yeah.
position made $130,000 last year. So I'm just like
That's so awesome.
grinding right now. Like just
Yeah. It's a lot of
I'm
work.
kind of, yeah. I mean, once I get everything in order, I feel like I can have systems in place where I can have a lot of downtime to keep working on NFT stuff and stuff of that nature.
Yeah.
Like I just got to get better at planning and scheduling. It's like one of my weaker points. As you know, you saw, I scheduled you out far, but then I didn't send anybody like reminders. And I'm like, fuck. And then I had you on the wrong week, and I'm like, this I gotta have a better system for this. It's just I'm just doing so much, and I'm like
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sticking. I like made a commitment to stick with the podcasting. So
Mhm.
I've been doing it since 2017.
Jeez.
And yeah, it's I had like I stopped doing what did Adam say for like 2 years because I was doing another podcast with my old business partner, AA for Entrepreneurs. And it was a great show, honestly. Like we did decent numbers on Facebook video and other platforms, and it's great content still out there. But so I've been literally steadily podcasting 17, 18, 19, 21 to 7 years now.
Jeez.
It's insanity, and it ebbs and flows. Like right now is I haven't been getting a ton of views, but I just don't even care because, like I was saying to you, it's just this long form is when I have everything settled and more systems in place to have more time to do what I need to do. I can schedule 2 hours to break down my content, and things like that.
Oh,
And
you're gonna have
and,
an
and
absurd amount of content
oh,
from like all of
sir.
these podcasts. Like you're never gonna have to make a piece of content again for the rest of your life. At the rate you're being consistent with podcasting.
And it'll be fun, like once I can get clips labeled and stuff, like how many times I've said the same exact thing, like the same exact way, because like that's how you tell somebody like really knows their shit. Like it doesn't change much unless you've like learned
Mhm.
something new. And yeah, and it's also gonna be fun because like I'm in a, a contest for Elon Musk, and the contest is just who can capture the most carbon. It's $100 million
Mm.
prize pool. First place
Oh,
gets 50 million. Second place, third place, and fourth place each get 10 million. So the way I see it, if I can place even top four, it's life changing money. I can buy a 250-acre plot of land for the project cash out of that and still have $4 million left over, which would be to build our hemp facility to like break it all down. We already like have been talking to a company about doing like a franchising here to build one of their hemp processing facilities that's in Canada on the East Coast, and we run and own and operate it, but we pay for them to build it type of thing. So
that's so wild. That's a
it's
cool
wild,
little contest he's doing.
dude. And like I said, 4 tons of carbon in 3 months without a growing crop. I
Yeah.
can't wait for the soil test results, first of all, that are coming back soon, because the professor's already been working on them for almost a week now. So I suspect they'll be to me soon. And I'm excited to see what happened over the winter, because I can see a noticeable change. Like, I can tell there was no erosion like there was before on my land,
Yeah.
and the moisture retention was there, even though it hasn't rained in a while. It's just, I'm like, damn, I know what I'm fucking doing. I know what I'm fucking doing. Let's go.
That's
But
awesome, man. Well, cool, dude. This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate you scheduling me out so far and then having me on. I'm glad we were
yeah,
able to do it. I was
right
like, is he
before
just pushing
VeeCon.
me out? Yeah.
No, I really have people scheduled out, and I purposely didn't schedule out past like the end of June, because I want to schedule people like you were saying, VeeCon, like
Yeah, for
schedule out the rest
VeeCon.
of your year. I'm trying to schedule out a whole year out, so I can, get that together, and then get a website that kind of like sends everybody a calendar thing, so that way the
Mhm.
calendar invite reminds them like a week in advance, and then a day, 2 days in advance, one day in advance, and it'll be smoother running. But yeah, I didn't even realize it's been over 2 hours. Holy shit!
You're
I was
good,
like,
man. I gotta let my corgi out.
yeah, it's all good. Thank you so much for coming on, man, and I can't wait to meet you in person next week. What hotel are you staying at?
I believe we're staying at the Hilton.
Ah,
The
damn it,
the guy that I told you he's a hangout hawk, and he like had me go and stay at the hotel in Miami. He also
Bryce.
bought like what'd you say?
Bryce.
No, his name's Ben.
Oh,
But he bought like 4 hotel rooms at the Hilton because he knew they were gonna get sold out, and he figured he would like just give them like sell them to people that needed them that bought
yep,
later. But he was like, "Yeah, dude, like he did the same thing. These rooms are massive, and he's like, I've got extra space if you want to just cancel your hotel and like come stay here." It's like, sure, thanks, Ben.
yeah.
Like
Saved me a
people in this
thousand
community are so
dollars.
generous. Yeah, dude, seriously. Like it was, I think my hotel was like $800. I got
Yep.
like the second I could, and I found the cheapest one because like I'm not gonna spend time in there anyways. Like I want to be out and about where the action's happening, and then I'm just gonna like crash for 3 or 4 hours a night and go right back at it. So, but it's gonna be cool being like right there on the because I think it's right across from the stadium.
Yeah, it's pretty close. I was supposed to stay at the Hilton. That was my original reservation, but like my videographer's coming, and somebody else,
Mhm.
Corey. I don't know if you know Corey Hogan. He bought Isaac's ticket to VeeCon, so Isaac
Mhm.
agreed to shoot content for him too, and he just so happened to get 2 rooms. So he was like, "Oh, you can have the other room. Obviously, I got to pay for it, but you can have
Yeah.
the other room, so that way we can stay in the same hotel, and Isaac's not so stressed about running back and forth between my
Right.
content and his content, like crazy amounts of shit." So it's gonna be bananas, dude. I can't even wait. I have so much to fucking do. I was just thinking about it today, and like,
Yep. I have my entire Saturday carved out for prep, so I
yeah.
get it.
Let's go. All
Shit,
right, man.
man.
Well, thank you so much. I'll definitely talk to you soon, and thank you guys out there that are watching now and will listen to this later. As always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Good vibes to you.